Let me tell you right now, people don't watch me because I'm good at the video games that I play. They watch me because I'm funny and I'm chaotic.
Tonight, I have a very special guest. I am glad she came back on because I love talking with her. I'm going to let you take over for a little bit. Why don't you explain who you are, what you do, and just give us a little bit. And also, what is the most favorite game that you have ever played in your life?
I was just talking about that last night. I'll get into that because that ties directly into our mental health conversation. So my name is Darlene Sincerest, or Audrey. I am a variety streamer on Twitch, but I primarily play a handful of games. I play a lot of shooters. I play a lot of Tarkov and Raid Shadow Legends, which are two very different games, but I enjoy them both for different reasons. One, you would think I would not scream at, but I do. And then the other, I'm going to scream at, and I do. Yeah, so I've been affiliated for almost 3 years now. I've been on the platform for about 4. I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really do any research and stuff. When I first came on the platform, I was just inspired by some of my friends to do it and had no idea what all went into it and did zero research, didn't really try. I did maybe like 3 or 4 streams in that first year because I was just too scared to go live because I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, this is all so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then some of my friends took me under their wings, and I started doing more research on my own, watching a bunch of like YouTubes, and TikTok wasn't as big at the time for like tutorial videos, but there were some TikTokers that would like give you some like tips and tricks and things. And then COVID hit, and then like there was so much information everywhere, which was fantastic, but it also meant that there was a lot of misinformation or information that wasn't necessarily applicable to everybody. It was kind of like that little satellite of information that is good for a handful of people, and it's going to be great for those people, but it's not applicable or realistic for most people. I kind of always been into content creation of some kind. Back in like 2017, I did a contest for a bed company, like a mattress company. And they did this huge like competition online. And that's actually how I went from having an anonymous Twitter to accidentally getting doxxed, and then I was no longer anonymous. And then that's when I like really branched more into content creation and that sort of realm. No, that's fine. We're just talking. Are you kidding me? That is not a scratch pad. Move your butt. You've lost your mind. She's such a menace, dude. Yeah, we actually, like, on our merch have Menace to Society, and it's because of her.
Oh, okay.
She is the menace to society, which, like, I'm proud of you, sweetie. Aspire to goals, but, like, can you be less of a menace to me? Like, just a little. I'm at my wit's end some days. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just like I was telling you, when we started talking, is like I have
the dogs.
I have 2 healers, so they're like very, very hyper anyways.
Oh, yeah, that's very high energy breeds.
And so I don't know what got into them today. I got home and they were like bouncing they were literally bouncing. They're like, you remember the cartoon Tigger, where he bounces?
Yes, where he bounces on his tail.
That is my youngest pup that I have. That's about a year. But
you can see my pup on the couch right here. Pick here. Oh, here he comes.
He knows how to mention my name.
Hi, baby Diesel. Both of them are very jealous of each other. If I give attention to one, I've got to give attention to the other. So it was only a matter of time before Mr. Sir. What have I done? Hello.
But animals are animal. I think everybody that I've seen that streams or whatever has some type of animal. They either have a cat or a dog, and it's comforting.
It's because a lot of us are like a little more on the introverted side, and so they give us that companionship without all the like pressure. Yeah. And whether or not people like realize that's often why they get pets, like that's actually a big reason. And like from a mental health standpoint, that people do get kind of drawn towards animals if they're more like introvert. Like there's a reason the phrase touch grass is very common in the gamer and streamer community, and it's because we don't get out a whole lot. Very true. We are absolute degenerates at this point.
It's like when when I get off, I work a 9 to 5, or I guess a 6 to 5, and as soon as I'm off work, I do not like to go out. I'm done.
No.
I'm done
If I'm
being.
home, if I take off my shoes, I won't do the dishes, is one of my favorite phrases, because if I take off my shoes when I get home, I'm not doing a damn thing for the rest of the evening. You can't get me off of that couch, out of that bed, whatever it is. If I take my shoes off when I get home, I will not do the dishes. I won't go back out. I'm not doing anything social. You're not coming over. Like, that's it. That's the end of the day. We're done. And so now I have to vacuum like every single day because I wear my shoes in the house. At least I don't wear them in like the bedrooms and stuff, but like I wear them in the main area if I go anywhere. And so like I have to vacuum every single day I go anywhere at all, because otherwise if I take off my shoes, the day ends there. Like, that's the
Nope.
end.
I'm the same way. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, because I tell my wife when I get home, it's like, okay, are we doing anything? Because if not, I'm getting comfy and I'm done.
If I put on this 4XL t-shirt and these 2XL sweatpants, you ain't getting me to do anything. I'm not answering the door. I'm not even gonna answer phone calls. That's enough. That's enough. The day is over. It's time for everyone to go to bed.
And I've run through, I guess, I've run through so many people like that. I mean, I didn't realize I was that way till I started streaming. I thought I was the only one, and then I met.
And then you're like, my people.
I know, right? I was like, I fit in. I finally
Yeah.
fit in somewhere.
That is one thing that like streaming has definitely given me, is just like it's helped me find other people, both locally and primarily not locally, that I just like click with, Thankfully, two of my like closest friends, they're my girlfriends, they're my best friends. One of them lives 15 minutes from my house and one of them lives about an hour and a half, and the two of them they can't get rid of me now. Like I'm like just absolutely attached. Like, they will never get rid of me. And I've only found them because of content creation. Like, I live only 15 minutes from one of them, but I never leave my house. So how are we supposed to ever meet,
Yeah.
But they're some of my people. I mean, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that aren't local that are I'm very close with, and it sucks on one hand because then like so many of your friends are far away. But gaming kind of gives you that opportunity, or even podcasting, kind of gives you that opportunity to like stay in touch and spend quality time with them without actually physically being in the same space, which is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, like I said, it's crazy. Like I said, I've been doing this probably like 4 years now. I think this is my 4th year, and the 3rd year doing podcasts. And yeah, I've met so many people that have the same. I guess I just did not realize we were basically all the same.
We are all creatures that migrate to like similar ones, and thankful for technology, because I also thought I was the only one who was like that, because a lot of the people around me were not like that. And that was kind of hard for me because I thought there was something like wrong with me, and it was like, no, that just wasn't like my crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. It's just like half the people that I mean, everybody at work has no clue what I do.
Really?
They're just, I call them disassociated but they have their own things they do that makes them fun, and, creates an atmosphere for them. This is my atmosphere.
Yeah. It's all about creating what you want.
I mean, it's taken 3 years for my wife to actually understand what I do. So
yeah. I would love to be dark and mysterious, but unfortunately I don't ever shut the hell up. So
hey, once you get me going, I'm the same way too.
I am very self-aware, so much so that my therapist points it out sometimes. He's like, you're really self-aware, and I'm like, I know, it hurts.
Now, do you ever feel like it's just like me, it's just like I've never really like talked to anybody about it, but like an empath, do you feel like you're an empath? Do you like, when you go out into public, does it like you draw the energy of other people?
Yeah. So I used to think that I was an empath, and now like TikTok and therapy kind of have me thinking that I'm just very traumatized and like hyper aware of my surroundings, and like.
Oh, okay.
But I do have like empathic traits at a minimum. So even if I'm not like a true empath and I'm just like a traumatized person who has empathic abilities, I'm the same way. So like when I go somewhere, especially in groups, and it's much harder for me now, largely due to like my mental health stuff and like things that I've been through, for me to be in groups to begin with. But then you add that on top of it, all it takes is one person that has a strong enough just like pull,
Yep.
and then it does not matter how hard I try, I can't recover from whatever feeling it is that they have like pushed into the space, and it's brutal. Like, so I don't do a whole lot of group things unless I know that like that group is not gonna have that sort of effect on me. It does make it really hard though for like friendships and stuff, because like, I mean, and it's not like, I mean somebody having a bad day. I mean like someone just really just not caring about
Yeah.
other people type deal. And
Well,
that's really hard for me.
and for you guys watching it or taking this in later on, that's the reason why we don't play with randos. You want to know the reason why a lot of streamers do not play with randos? And randos, for those that don't understand what randos are, just random people that just come in. We have no clue who they are. That's the reason why, because
We don't know what you're going to do. We don't know what
Yeah.
you're like. I have also, like, I used to play with people from chat, and now, like, I rarely even do follower Friday games without having to know the person beforehand, because I have had people that, like, were part of the community. They had just followed me for a long time, but never really talked or anything. Then they'd want to play games. And then immediately would like violate TOS or say something like off the wall or just be like a horrible person. I'm like, first of all, what made you think this is the place for that? Because I consistently, like, between myself and my mods, there's a pretty clear definition for a lot of things about where I stand.
yeah,
And like, I'm not as strong in my boundaries as I should be, especially like as of late. But like, I have people who remind me consistently, like, hey, like, don't forget about this boundary. You said you wanted to like put it in place. And I have one person that's like really, really good about that. Like, text me during stream and be like, hey, like, remember your boundaries. And I'm like, you're right. Yeah, see, Valiant is one of my mods, and he's like, yeah, you need to do better on that. Like, I'm trying. Usually my mods actually ban people before like I even
realize anything.
sometimes I like to play with the trolls before we delete them. Sometimes they're fun to play with, you know, not like on games, but like in chat. I want to see
yeah.
how creative they can get. Because
Exactly.
like, come on, sweetie, the calling me fat, ugly, and whatever else, like, that is old. It is tired. Get creative. I want to see some new material, buddy. This is a comedy stand-up, and you're on thin ice.
See, and that's one thing too. You can tell a veteran streamer from a beginner streamer, because if it's somebody that's never been around that stuff, they usually end up.
They respond very differently. Trolling
Yeah.
the trolls is fun. Yeah, Jamie
Oh,
Jamie likes to troll the trolls. Jamie likes to troll me. My whole chat does. Like, they'll roast me all the time. They'll troll me. Like, it is. I have an incredible community. They're some of the most caring, like, genuine people I've ever been around. They're all crazy. They have to be. They hang out with me. But, like, they are all so much fun, you know? I made the trolls mods. No, I made the good trolls mods. There's a difference. I chose the ones with the most talent. And I was like, you can stay.
Hey, so, that's the same way. I think mods have to be that way. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no other way to be a mod other than, I think that should be the number one requirement when any streamer that goes out and starts collecting or starts interviewing mods, you've got to see if they have a trolling attitude.
Yes, but a good one.
Yes.
Because they can't just have a trolling attitude. It's got to be a good one.
Yeah.
And like, a big thing for me is initially, like, most of my mods that are mods currently did not have to do any sort of interview process. It was like we kind of already had an understanding of like what environment it was. And like, there's sometimes where like I do need to like message the little Discord thing. No, yeah, see, that's what I was saying, Valiant, is a lot of the mods were there before I implemented the interview thing. In fact, only 2 of my mods, and they're the 2 newest mods, actually went through any sort of like interview or like pep talk or, kind of just ground rules, because a lot of people may think that they understand where your boundaries are, but your boundaries are ever evolving, and like stuff in your personal life is absolutely going to affect those boundaries. I mean, there's a lot of times where like, if I am a crybaby, but I'm also crazy. So like, and I say that with like a laugh, but also like a hint of seriousness. And my therapist is very aware. Trust me, because I'm gonna cry, but I also might commit violence. So like, I'll be crying while I do it, but like, watch yourself. You know what I mean?
No.
And so like, there's a lot of changes that go on, and with that like kind of crybaby aspect of me, I also have to make sure that like as things are happening in my personal life, I'm communicating to my mods, usually in Discord, and I'm like, hey, like here's a new boundary, or here's an adjusted boundary, or hey, we're not gonna have that thing be a rule anymore, and things like that. And like it's important to understand that those things are always going to be changing, and it's okay if something is normally okay with you or previously was okay with you and then it's not now. Like you're allowed to grow and change as a human being. You're allowed to set different boundaries, you're allowed to adjust where those goalposts are, but you have to communicate them. And that's the hard part for a lot of people, including myself. Like
Well,
I'm working on it.
I think that's people in general. I mean, it seems
Mhm.
like, especially nowadays, where there's the new generation coming up. I'm like from an older generation, because my mom and dad were like raised in the 20s and the 30s, so they were
Yeah.
raised from that generation. Uh, but yeah, the new generation, I'm talking about like 18 on up, or 18 on down, I guess.
Yeah.
They
We're
don't
not barely
understand.
Gen Z anymore. Now
Yeah.
it's whatever the heck the new one is. I don't even know. I should know these things. But I gotta stay hip with the times, you know what I mean? What up, Chomsky?
I
Um
didn't even know what Gen X was until I started watching TikTok, to tell you the truth.
well, okay, so like I knew a lot of them because of like census work and stuff like that, about
Mhm.
like what category of generation you may be in.
Right.
Um I'm I am a millennial, but I'm like a baby millennial because I'm towards the
Yeah.
tail end. So I still like sometimes understand what the hell Gen Z lingo is, but like there's a lot of times where I'm like, what does this mean? And Google's not
Yeah.
telling me, and I'm like, I'm an old.
Yeah.
But the even newer generation, I mean, I am excited for them because, as much as people want to speak negatively about each generation, I don't think I've ever seen like Gen Z, incredibly vocal, very passionate about things, but the generation that followed them, hell hath no fury, like
Yeah.
I just hope that that energy can be directed towards things that provoke genuine and good change towards the community around them, because I think it's unfortunate, but my generation kind of tried to do some of that stuff, but I don't feel like we had the impact we quite had hoped. And like there's still time for us to impact as a
Oh
generation,
yeah.
but a lot of what you impact is when you're more in your youth, because that's when you're the highlighted generation. So
Yeah. I
it is
mean,
what
it's
it
just like
is.
I am Gen X because I was born in the 70s, so I'm Gen
Yeah.
X. Um, but yeah, I mean, and I'm kind of glad that they kind of like separated those, because Gen X, we came up as a Gen Xer, we came up in a different time. We were the
Hmm.
ones that you know we took care of ourselves 90% of the time.
You guys were like the first generation to do that in a long time. That's been like
You
at
know,
least 100 years of a generation that did not do that.
Saturday mornings, if you slept in, our parents got our asses up by 9 o'clock to get the hell out of the house.
Yeah.
And we didn't come home, or during the summer, we didn't
Yeah.
sleep
You were
home.
not indoors.
No, no,
My
we were.
parents still kind of kept that one even with me as a young millennial, like comparatively, because I'm within the last like 5 6 years.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was nothing like it was for my parents, but it was still like pretty firm on those rules of like you're not sleeping in, you're not doing that. But that was largely due to like the way that my parents were, and then they were military, so like they had a very different
Yeah.
outlook on things. Um, so life, I was a little different. All of my friends loved sleeping in and talking about the cartoons that they watched all day. It
Yeah.
wasn't until I got much older that I got to do some of that stuff.
I know now it's like you watch cartoons and it's like, oh, look at, I mean, even with me, it's just like I remember watching them when I was younger.
Yes.
And then, like from the age of, I want to say probably like from the age of, I mean, this is me from like 13 on up. Cartoons didn't exist anymore because you were never around the house.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I got a work permit at 14 to start working. So,
yep. I,
like,
I was working, yeah, I totally, I mean, I was working at the age of 14. I
yeah.
mean, that was back in the day where, I don't know, things have changed now. I had my
Yeah.
driver's license at 14.
I did not, which made it very difficult. I either had to work somewhere I could walk or hope that I was. not in trouble because
Right.
that walk was gonna suck.
Now, I say I had my driver's license at 14. That
Yeah, it
doesn't
was
mean I
the
didn't
no.
drive.
Well,
I used to steal
okay.
my mom's car religiously until she caught on.
I could not. I would not be here today because
But
I learned once you don't do that. We didn't do it again because
well, it took her like it took her 3 times for me to realize that I was stealing her car at night. But yeah, that's a whole new episode.
you're much better than I was. See, overly strict parents create sneaky kids, but like apparently mine wasn't sneaky enough. I got
I,
caught. I didn't even get caught like when I left. I didn't caught most of the way out. I actually got caught 2 days later because I didn't put the gas right back to where it was. That's what got me caught. And I was like, "Are you kidding me? What?"
I think that's what got me caught too, because I that was one of the things I didn't even
It
fathom.
was
It's just
just like I mean, it was a fraction of a little teeny tiny bit off, and that's what got me. And I was like, "Wow, you and your fucking car maintenance. Wow."
like who watches their gas tank at that time?
Yeah. Also, who is that religious about their mileage? Like, first of all, worry about yourself.
I'm gonna tell all of you that have ever watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh my
Put
god.
your vehicle in reverse does not
Does
take
not
the
work.
mileage.
That's
We
one of my
tried
favorite
that.
scenes.
We tried that. It does not work. We even
Not
tried to
work.
take the odometer and put it back. That
I was
doesn't
gonna
work.
say, and now you can't like any of the new cars. You're gonna set
No.
off all kinds of alarms if you try to alter anything.
Yeah. Yeah,
You should just better.
we totally screwed up my friend's mom's car because we tried to turn back the odometer manually and it never worked again. So,
Whoops.
yeah.
Whoopsies. It be that way sometimes. Like sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. That's a. Oh, sorry.
No, but no, that's just kind of the way it is. Is like the different. When you go into people's streams, you got to realize it's like the content creator grows up in different areas. Some of them, even though some my age are like far and few between, but it's the middle ages, like between 25 and 35. I think is like the average age on Twitch.
Yeah,
now.
we're the bulk now, which is actually huge because like people used to look at streamers as being these like maybe 21-year-old kids, and so like now that a bulk of it is late 20s, early 30s. See,
No.
that gal Cass, that was one of them that I was talking about earlier. She stuck with me.
No, Audree's not old. Trust me. I've got her beat by it.
I am basically 13 years old. I am just in a very old body. It has aged expeditiously because of the army. It is over.
Yeah. But no, it's just like, there's a lot of things that, I mean, the community knows, if you're tight with your community, a lot of the communities know how we are, but for somebody walking into a chat and hanging out there for a while or something like that, or being the first time
Especially
there,
for the first time, yeah.
we're not going to share our entire life stories with it. I mean, it's
Trauma dumping.
yeah. What people see other than just the creator sitting behind the camera. I mean, yeah, you hear a lot of things about, oh yeah, tech is hard, streaming is hard. It is hard, but that just adds to the mental stress of the whole situation.
There's so much more that people don't realize. And, recently, like literally within the last week, that tired argument of, oh, women have it easier is circulating again around Twitch, especially streamer Twitch. And it drives me insane because I had actually tweeted about it. And I was like, that is such just like a lazy argument. It's a lazy argument because one, statistics prove that that's not the case. We don't have it easier making affiliate. We have the same requirements as you. There is one woman in the top like 100 streamers on the platform. One woman. If it was so easy and women have it easier, we would be dominating this space, but we're not. So that argument just drives me insane. And then you add all like the tech stuff, but people will always have some kind of idea of who you're supposed to be or who you are, especially if they haven't been there before. And so they'll come in and, like you said, not really know what's going on unless you sit there and you trauma dump for them. And they'll make all those sorts of assumptions. I mean, I've had people literally come in and try to say something about, oh, I only have all these viewers because I'm a woman. And, well, except they say female because it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But they say female instead, and it's like, okay, dude, but I've been on this platform for a long time, and they're like, women are stealing my views, you know, titty streamers this, and it's like, buddy, is your profile filled out? Is your profile filled out? No? You don't have any links to other social media platforms on there?
Yep.
You don't use your other social media platforms to market yourself? You're not taking advantage of being a content creator? Like, live streaming is not easy, especially if you want to build an audience. I mean, full disrespect to Twitch, their discoverability is all but null unless somebody raids you or you happen to have enough people in common with another community that you show up in their recommended. The discoverability is not there, you know?
Yeah.
Gray hoodie, no talk to chat mentality. Yeah. Deep throating their headset microphone, not connecting with any of their community members. If somebody tunes in, they don't say anything. They're just busy screaming at the game. Don't check anything. Don't put any effort into content.
No.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like she said, it's not only just, you know, what you produce, it's how you interact with people.
I'm gonna tell you right now, people don't watch me because I'm good at the video games that I play. They watch me because I'm funny and I'm chaotic.
Yeah.
Like, and my community, that's why I can be a variety streamer. Like, I do more than just video games sometimes. It's been a while since we've done it, but like, we've put together Legos on stream. We've painted, like, we've done cooking streams. Like, we do kind of anything because my community's not there for what I'm doing necessarily. They're there because of my personality and who I am and the community that I've cultivated over the years. True, Audrey sucks at Tarkov. Yes, actually. So earlier, the game, you asked me, I totally forgot about it. You asked me what my game is. Escape from Tarkov. I think I'm 99% positive at this point that I am a masochist. I don't know. Do you have to go get like a diagnosis? Because I keep coming back for more. But it is also like the best game for me that I've probably ever played. Like, it is my favorite game I have ever played. And I'm not just saying that because it's like a hyper fixation right now, because I spent a few months, because I've only been playing, so they wipe the game every like 6-7 months or so. Mm-hmm. So everybody starts fresh. So I started last wipe, and I started like a month late, and then I played pretty consistent, like I hyperfixated for like 2.5 months, and then I didn't touch the game for like a month and a half, 2 months. Like, it wasn't even on my computer anymore because I had to wipe my computer, and it wasn't one of the games that I put back on my computer for a while. And then I came back to the game, and it was just like a renewed love, I guess. She used to say that about Destiny 2 with Sag. Well, okay, yeah. I mean, I very much enjoy Destiny. Like, I still enjoy the franchise. In fact, like, I have a tattoo of a Destiny 2 ghost in the middle of my back.
Oh, hell.
So, like, obviously I like the game. I still enjoy the game to an extent. But it's just a different direction than I want to take part in, you know? But Tarkov is, like, it's a constant challenge for me, and there's enough content in the game that, like, it may get frustrating, but I'm never going to run out of things to do, if that makes sense. Like, there's so many different quest lines. There's daily and weekly tasks as well. I mean, you could try every single wipe to be the highest player and everything. Like, it just is going to take all of your time and a lot of practice. But there's so much to the game, you know what I mean? And I will absolutely admit that I am just a glutton for punishment. Yes. That's why I said I'm 90% positive I'm a masochist. I don't know if you had to get a diagnosis, but, like, I'm self-diagnosing here on that one, because why do I keep coming back? I'm not good at it. Like, I'm better than I was, but I'm not good at it. I get my shit kicked in every single day in that game, and I keep coming back.
It's kind of like with me with COD, you know.
No, that was me with COD, and then I couldn't keep up with all the new stuff and the changes, and I kind of drifted away from that community. And the Tarkov community is honestly probably the bigger reason that I stayed. So we talk about...
I'm sorry. I seen something today about, I was going through some stuff, and somebody posted a video where they, you know, they contacted BattleEye and had somebody banned for what they thought was hacking.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So that has been on multiple different games, but there was one for Battle State is who does Tarkov.
Sorry, yeah.
So yeah, the guy's account did get reviewed again, and it was no longer banned, but another like creator ended up buying him the full version of the game that's like
Mm.
gives you some extra stuff prior to that decision being made. But that's something that's been brought up in not just that community, but even the COD community, the Apex community. I mean, there's been really big creators that, you know, it can just be desync, but immediately they're like, oh, this person's hacking, like I'm telling my
Yeah.
contact, and then that person's banned. And that's not acceptable, because
Yeah.
just because somebody has a platform, if you do not have concrete evidence that that person is cheating. Now, if you pull up their stream because they happen to be a streamer, and not only are they stream sniping, but you can see that they've got hacks on, then yeah, okay, that's pretty significant, clear evidence that that person is cheating. But like, you can't just make an accusation like that with a baseless accusation and then take away. I mean, the game is not cheap. You know, it's not like Apex where it's free to download. You know what I mean? And Warzone and everything like that. Like, it's not a free game. So for you to, you know, abuse the privilege that you have of having a platform and having those connections, that's another thing in the streamer community is, you know, connections are everything. To a lot of people, that's all they care about is what connections can they make and how can they, I don't want to say use other people, but how can they benefit from this interpersonal relationship? Is it going to be a friendship? Is it going to be strictly transactional? Like, what is it going to be? And I mean, you can argue that that's in any field, but it is so bad in content creation, especially on the gaming side of content creation. And there's absolutely times where people abuse, you know, even terms of service, but they get away with it because of who they are.
Yep.
The amount of money they bring to whatever franchise, the you know, volume and attention they bring to that franchise. It's unfortunate because, you know, it shouldn't be like that. You're only friends with me for the benefits. I would like to know what those benefits are so I can start marketing those, because I just show up at your house and start like ranting. So I don't know if that's a benefit package, but you're welcome.
But, you know, and that kind of stuff there adds to, you know, just that adds to the mental health stress
Yeah.
on the other side. Because now you got to worry about, it's like, okay, especially when they were going through that big ban crisis. Like
Oh
on
my
COD,
gosh, with COD,
everybody
yeah. And
was,
everybody was getting accused of hacking, even though a lot of the bans like didn't have a justification.
yeah.
Your account just wouldn't log in. There was no justification. You couldn't get in touch with support at that time because they were overwhelmed with the amount of people putting in trouble tickets and everything. And it's like, that is so stressful. I mean, especially if you were, you know, a very like niche content creator and all of your content was based on one game. That's it. You don't have income to make other than videos about I got banned and I don't know how to recover my account, or I had to make a new account. And even then, that violates TOS because it's ban evasion.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. No. And, you know, that's just with any platform. I mean, you got to worry about getting banned on Twitch. You got to worry about getting, I mean, the biggest thing is, especially if you're a TikTok creator.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, Twitch is easy to get. Twitch is a little harder to get banned than TikTok because you got to be like.
You get a lot of warnings usually before you get full blown banned, but like
TikTok,
you say one word or hint at one word, you're banned for at least a week. You may get a permaban for something you alluded to, and I'm like, hello.
I mean,
that's so stressful.
That's one of the things I'm scared about. You know, going live on TikTok with, you know, some of the interviews and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean,
that'd be hard. Don't have me when you start doing TikTok. I don't want to be the reason you get banned.
but the funny thing is, though, it's just like you're talking about that. It's like some creators on there, they can get away with it. It's like, is it just because of maybe like their community? They don't care, and because it takes a mass report.
Well, it's a combination because just like with any platform, especially when it comes to social media, they have teams that are hired specifically to just browse through the platform and see if people are violating stuff. Now, majority of bans and things like that come from reports, but the same person can report you in a bunch of different ways on different platforms. And so like that is mass reporting, even if it's only one person doing it, you know? And you may get a temporary restriction because of somebody doing that. Not always the case. It depends on what they're reporting you for, how quickly the review team can get to it. Like obviously, you know, 3 a.m. on a Sunday, less likely that your stuff is going to get reviewed.
Yeah.
And that temporary like ban or restriction is going to be gone by the time you wake up versus, you know, 1 p.m. on a Tuesday, you know?
Yeah. But no. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy about how it's just not, like I said, it's just not the tech Everybody,
Mm-hmm.
because you see all these videos on YouTube and everything else. That's one thing. Like I said, it's the reason why I started this. I got tired of just seeing the stuff that people go through with tech issues, with
Yeah.
trolls and stuff like that. You got to worry about everything else on.
You got to worry about the human side of it.
Get a report.
Valiant Waffle House parking lot, man. That's my threat to my community is we're gonna meet up in a Waffle House parking lot. We're gonna get breakfast after, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna whoop your ass in the parking lot first.
And unless you're pretty good at what you do, I'm pretty sure she could probably take all of you.
I'm crazy enough. It doesn't matter if I'm good enough at fighting or strong enough. I'm just crazy enough, and I don't fight fair because that's not how fighting works. Like, come on. This is not MMA. We're not doing none of that. Nice try. Rules? I don't think so.
Yeah. So what are rules?
Never heard of her. Never heard of her.
But yeah, no, that's just it. I mean, there's so much crap out there that just.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now it's just like me and her were talking about the new YouTube regulations that are
Oh
coming
my
out.
God. Yeah.
Now on top of everything else that we deal with in life, now we got to worry, especially if you're a big YouTuber and you monetize, or even if you monetize from YouTuber
Yeah.
or YouTube, this new policy that's coming out is going to be really,
Difficult.
yeah, for a lot of content creators. I mean, like probably 95% of the platform.
Unless you are geared specifically towards kids,
Yeah.
a lot of even family friendly will kind of take some heat and stress from that policy change. For those of you that don't know, they made it to where, like, what is it, the first 30 seconds you can't cuss?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, they still allow like hell and damn, but like if you
Yeah.
say shit or anything like that within the first 30 seconds of your video, there's a chance that you won't be able to monetize that video. And they're going back.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah,
going
to old videos
a
too.
lot. So it's just like Tim the Tap Man, Dr. Disrespect, all of those are gonna have to change the way they do their content.
Yeah. It's gonna be a big shift, and I think that for some creators, again, this is going to come down to that connections thing. Obviously, this is just speculation, but I think for some creators, it's going to come down to the people that they know, but about whether or not they're going to be grandfathered into older policy. Because if they make the platform enough money, terms of service only mean so much to some of these people. You know what I mean? Now, if they do something exceptionally heinous, sure, yeah, they're gonna have to do something, and that's more so to save their platform, not because they actually care about the interaction usually, because it's transactional. They want people to come to their platform, make them money, and I would be heavily surprised if some of the creators that make them a lot of money would not be grandfathered in some way or have some kind of pull if they did violate it. You know what I mean?
I mean, Twitch is a good example of that. I mean, look at all these content creators that get away with, playing copyrighted material, playing full VODs.
Oh my
copyrighted material.
God.
I'm not talking about music. I'm talking about
Videos too. They watch movies, they watch TV shows, music. And a lot of people don't know this. And if you don't know this, now you're going to know. DMCA is now a criminal offense. It is no longer a civil case. That changed in late 2020, I believe, and they passed it through some of the COVID stuff. It was kind of slipped in there, and it's an easy way for, companies to make really good money, but also press criminal charges. If they want to press charges, they can, and you will have a criminal record. It is now a federal crime
you get a
to
felony.
violate DMCA.
You get whatever the lowest class. What is it, like a class B felony or whatever?
Yeah, whatever the lowest one is, but it's still a felony. I mean, that's insane to me, but it's the reality of today, and a lot of people don't realize that. And my favorite excuse people give is, well, I'm not that big of a streamer, or, oh, I split my audio. And it's like, it does not matter. They can live ban you too, because if somebody clips that, like by screen recording instead of doing the clipping feature on Twitch, it will be on that video. And you are subject to whatever consequences come from that. If you think that these labels who own this music and make money from filing DMCA, complaints, if you think that they do not hire entire teams of people to just go around on social media, that's why a lot of platforms have changed the way that they approach DMCA, especially once it became a federal crime, because it was like, okay, well now, we've got to kind of make sure that we protect creators to an extent, but also make them accountable for their own actions, because that gets very costly for the platform as well, because the platform also gets fined. Whatever platform it is. And so that's why a lot of times people will like complain like, oh, my mods or my VODs got muted or whatever, and it's like, were you playing DMCA music? Now there are a lot of times where like the little bots are not correct because they use like a bot program to see if it might have DMCA music. So if you don't have an actual strike, nobody has filed a strike against you.
Yeah.
But and there's it's not a guarantee that you will get the felony charge. It is strictly on whether or not the people who own the rights to whatever that content is, that music, that TV show, that movie, whatever it is. It depends on whether or not they want to press criminal charges. Because if they don't press the charges, it's unlikely that you'll get charged, but it's still a chance, you know? And too many people have like a nonchalant, like, whatever, like, they're not going to find me. I'm just a small streamer or what have you. And it's like, buddy, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm not willing to catch a felony for that. Like, there's a lot of like newer bands and stuff too that, in a way to get their music out, if they own the copyrights to their music, I'm constantly asking artists, I'm like, hey, like, is your music DMCA free? Do you own the rights? Do you own like the copyrights and stuff? And then if so, do I have your explicit permission to use this music while I'm live streaming? And sometimes you'll get a response, sometimes you won't, depends on how you're trying to contact them. But that's one way to kind of like help yourself. There was a band recently, Sleep Theory, that I reached out to because they just dropped a new single, and I really liked the song and I wanted to play it. And I responded to them, one of their tweets, and they said, yeah, you're free to use this. But then I did get a message and they were like, hey, you know, we haven't contacted Twitch saying it's okay for our music to be used. So if anything happens, just let us know and we'll clear up the situation. Let them know that, like, yes, it's okay for you to play the music. Just like wanted to warn you in case it does mute your VOD or anything like that, because a lot of bands are aware of the impact that content creators have on their content. Because I mean, really, if you think about it, like musicians, artists, anything like that are content creators. And I know that some people don't like that term, content creator, but you are creating something for people, you know. You're not just like a goods or services in the traditional sense. You're creating some form of content to be consumed. And they recognize the value of utilizing other content creators to boost themselves. I mean, TikTok has been huge for like bands and independent artists and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Of blowing up. I mean, it's unreal. I mean, you have bands that have, or even like singles artists that, you know, do even an acoustic version of a song, and they go viral, and they don't even have to worry about, you know, some of the previous struggles that like musicians may have faced prior to this level of technology and marketing, because they got that lucky break by going viral versus having to play a bunch of empty shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, see, and there's three things to a copyright. Twitch will allow you 3 strikes. You can get 3 strikes off of one song.
Yep. The lyrics, the music itself, and
the
then yeah. So even when you're doing covers, like so there's somebody in my community, Hasher, that actually like study all that stuff, and he taught me something new, that if it's under a certain amount of time, or if it's sped up a little bit, like there's a bunch of like small things that you can alter that it would be allowed. That's why DJs on Twitch are generally okay to be DJs, because they're, one, not playing over the certain amount, they're altering the song in some way, but you still have to be careful because the samples can only be a certain length. And I don't remember all that off the top of my head. He's way smarter about that stuff than I am. But it was something new that I learned, because I knew some about that, but I didn't understand like how in depth all that stuff could be. One song, one episode, one movie, any of that. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, and if you are going to try to argue the fair use, make sure you have an attorney explain fair use to you, because fair use does not save you.
No. That's why all these people who are getting sued are losing, because
But it will not save you.
No.
Because there is so many loopholes to fair use that they know
Those gray areas.
Yeah, these people
And
know.
we're talking about multi-streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. The gray areas.
Yeah,
You better be real good at arguing. I mean,
it's like I was asking her. It's like, okay, so if you stream on Twitch, you're not supposed to, if you're affiliated or under contract, you're not. Well, now you can stream to different platforms, not simultaneously, but you can stream the other.
You're not exclusive for all of your streams, just the active stream that you have. You brought up a good point, though. What if you start the YouTube stream just minutes before the Twitch one connects? Like, technically then you wouldn't be in violation, because you would be multi-streaming onto Twitch, not onto other platforms, because the other platform started first. And YouTube, for example, doesn't have that
Now watch.
Exclusivity.
There's going to be
There's going to be an update to the terms of service.
update to the terms of service tomorrow
You're
because
like,
of this.
specifically, you guys will not be doing this. You're like, you wanna find some gray areas? That's fine.
But yeah, it's just like we were talking about the other night. It's just like, but what if you start off on Twitch or TikTok and then go over to or on YouTube or TikTok and go over to Twitch? Because technically you're not streaming, because the only TOS says you cannot stream from Twitch
to other platforms.
But
we're gonna be the reason that verbiage changes.
Yeah, I know. I screw everything up. I'm sorry, guys. But
Same. I'm why we have some warning labels. Like, oh, what does this do?
Yeah.
We should stop doing that. No self-preservation.
But no, I mean, like I said, that's just some of the stuff on the creator side of things that we have to go through. I mean, if y'all,
and that's still like a techie side.
Yeah, I mean, I know y'all, and that's just like maybe like not even really half of the tech side that we deal with. So
yeah,
I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Between doing the tech side, which you guys hear a lot in the YouTube videos and what we go through, but on top of that, we have to balance our career with our life, or our full-time career. If we're not doing this full-time, with our streaming career. So basically we're working 2 jobs. We got a family. I mean,
all that stuff. It's a lot to balance. I mean, in friendships, really any interpersonal relationships. I'm also kind of laughing because my community again is roasting me. In Audrey's case, let's do it again. It's usually the second time that got it on the warning label. You're right. And then do not consume silica gel packets. Look, leave me and my forbidden beans alone, okay? They look delicious. It's fine. Oh my god, yeah, my cat tries to eat them all the time and I'm like, please stop. She has no self-preservation. She will try to like chew the cables that are plugged into my back of my PC when she's feeling like extra crazy, and she's got the zoomies around the room. She'll come up and like, there's a window right here, and she'll go behind the blackout curtains and some of the cables go back there, because then I don't have to see them, and she will literally try to eat them and I'm like, ma'am, where is your self-preservation? And I know that's the pot calling the kettle black, but like, look.
Oh, when we first got our first pup last year, she was messing around. I was live on stream, and all of a sudden I just heard a big yelp. I thought she like ran into something.
I remember that.
And she bit into the electrical cord that was like attached, or my power strip that was
actively being used.
I mean, it didn't like throw her or nothing, but she
but it gave her a nice little reminder that that's not a thing she should do.
She jumped from one side of the room over by me, and I'm like, I thought maybe she'd like ran into a nail or something that I didn't pick up, or
yeah.
And then I looked.
I remember when that happened because you had told me about that. One of the times we were catching up, and I was like, because my animals are the same, they just no self-preservation. Like what?
Yeah.
Look, Z, I know that I can't be asking my cat for self-preservation if I don't have it, but we're trying our best. Our best just looks different each day.
Yeah. At least we're trying, right?
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, I actually had posted a meme because I like my Instagram. I don't really use it as well as I could, because sometimes I'm really bad about being a content creator, and then I default to just the live streamer side of it. Like especially when my mental is not doing as well, you'll notice that my content really starts to lack. It's either very lackluster or I'm not posting at all, And I had posted a meme that was talking about. It was one of those like dino comic strips or whatever, and it was talking about, you're just doing your best, and it's like, this is my best, and Jamie had corrected it, and let me actually look what she specifically said, because I ended up screenshotting it and posting that to my story, because I was just like, you know what, like, you're right, that's actually a very good way to look at that, and it's true. Of course, now Instagram freezes, and I can't open anything. Okay, there we go. Let's see. She just messaged me. Oh, I was looking for the wrong username. But she had said, let's rephrase the second slide to that. So I'll read what the actual little cartoon was. And I said, I don't know what I'm doing. And then the other dinosaur comes up and says, you're doing your best. And then the next one says, thanks. And it's like, but the idea that this is my best actually makes things worse. And she said, let's rephrase the second slide to that. You're doing your best today. And the last slide, let's make it your best looks different every day because we are not machines. Your best today is going to be different from your best yesterday. You are still here and trying, and that is what matters. And like, when I tell you, she almost had me crying because I was like, I don't even know I needed to hear that, but I needed to hear that. Like, I was emotional, man, because that's something that, like, even not just content creators, but just like human beings, you know, like, we don't think about that types of stuff. You know, we talked about some of the younger generations, you know, being raised differently and stuff. Like, Cass is a mom of a wonderful young kid, and he is one of the most emotionally intelligent humans I have ever encountered, and he's a toddler because of the way that she has taught him to like regulate those sorts of things and think in that sort of way. And very similar to like what Jamie had said, like more of thinking that mindset. And that's huge because I was not raised like that. I was raised that if it's not perfection, it's failure, you know, and that makes it so hard because I very much resonated with the original comic versus, you know, what Jamie had said. And then she said that, I'm not kidding. Like, I was like almost in tears, like running down my face. Like my eyes teared up. I was like about to start. If I would have spent any longer reading her message again and again, I would have started bawling. Like, it hit me so hard because we don't remind ourselves of that enough. And like, that's stuff that I try to reiterate with my community and like remind them that like, hey, we're human. We're not robots. Like, we gotta take care of ourselves. Like, I yell at them all the time. We have a reminder in chat, like, drink water. And then I yell at chat to also drink water with me. Like, if I get up and stretch, they're supposed to stretch, like those things like that. Because I mean, we don't take good enough care of ourselves. And one of my friends, Rachel, she can attest to how much I yell at her for this. But, you know, we constantly talk about, you know, you need to take a break. You need to take a break. And it's like, well, I don't feel like I have time for that. You know, like, I don't have time to take a break. And it's like, either you're going to make time for that break or your body will. And it's not going to be at a good time. Like, your body starts to deteriorate when you do that. And the sad thing about content creation is people who are doing it at the, you know, capacity that a lot of us are, that stick with it for more than like 6 months type deal. Like, if you've been doing it for a while or plan to do it for a while, that's something that like you have to take into account because we burn ourselves out all the time. I mean, I can't tell you how many bigger streamers, or at least like people I look up to and stuff, and even people who aren't considered like big streamers but are still people that I look up to, that have said that they're taking a hiatus recently. I mean, this is a hard time of the year anyways, but then man, like, we don't take care of ourselves. I am so guilty of that too. I am probably about to get yelled at by my community about that. But, you know, we're trying, you know, like, and the effort doesn't need to be perfect, but it needs to be there.
That's why you see so many content creators take a break like right after Christmas.
Oh my gosh, because they were probably
like,
hitting it hard, and then all the personal life stuff.
Yeah. So you'll see a lot of ones that have been, like she said, the ones that have been around the space for a while. They'll take the break in between like January, February, and March. You know, because it's the downtime for anything. It's the downtime for businesses. It's the downtime.
Retail.
Yeah.
You'll notice like there's generally going to be more sales and stuff like January to March time frame because they know people are less likely to go out and spend money, consume products, consume anything, consume media even. I mean, movie theaters, same thing. They dip between that time period, and it's tough.
Yeah. Hi, Miss Snipe. But no, that's crazy. So there's one thing too. You were in the military. I know a lot of your community knows that. But like I said, I'm not going to deep dive into anything that you don't want to talk about because I know it's, like I said, that's not what I'm here for, and that's not what this is about. Because I'm not like one of those paparazzi.
Yeah, you're not like, give us the deepest dive into your most personal secrents.
Even
those
though
I'm like, first of all,
opened up to me and like told me a whole bunch of stuff. Like, wow, but being in the military and stuff like that, how long have you been out of the military?
So technically, I'm still like on like the reserve status and everything. But I've had 7 years in. I was 5 years active duty, and then I was about 2 years guard. And then they just recently concluded a med board for me, but I'm still like admin wise, like in that reserve time or whatever. And that's that. I've been out of active duty for about 2 years, and like that was a huge transition for me because I had started like kind of full-time streaming, like hours wise and effort and all that types of stuff. Like I was putting full-time hours into my content creation prior to getting out, which absolutely was burning me out. But then when I got out, like it was kind of like my plans that I had set up for different career paths and stuff didn't end up panning out the way that I had initially planned. So my health issues got worse. We didn't realize how bad some of them were. And until I started taking that side, including my mental health being the biggest one, until I started taking that stuff more seriously, content creation was really difficult for me. I mean, you can see throughout, the last few years of where my content has shifted, where my boundaries in my community have shifted. I mean, there's absolutely, people I don't really play with or really even talk to anymore that, we were all attached, as a group. And like, that's normal human behavior. You're going to sometimes fall out with groups. Sometimes groups don't stick together, and it's not necessarily that there's bad blood. It's just that you guys move in different directions. But like the change in my life at the time was so like drastic that it was impacting so much, I felt like I was like very overwhelmed with a lot of stuff because it was hard to not allow all of my personal stuff to impact content creation. You know what I mean? I mean, that's hard anytime, but especially when you have a big life change. I mean, I know several streamers, like they're moving or, they're getting married or they're getting divorced, they're having kids, they're, these big life changes, changing their trajectory and changing how often or what kind of content that they make.
Yeah. So like I said, it's kind of hard because it's like, I mean, I know a lot about you, but it's just like I don't want to.
No, I understand.
So I got to be careful about what's talking. But no, it's like what being out of the military stuff. Like, because the military is a whole different world than what
whole different beast
is. Because I'd never been in, but all my brothers and sisters, my dad was, so I felt like I was already born into
affiliated. Yeah, you already had you have a taste of what military life was like, and you were smarter than the rest of us.
I lived with my brothers for most of my teenage life, so I lived, and one of my brothers was an Army recruiter, so that's one of the in my opinion, the war. I mean, they're good, but yeah.
Could not pay me enough.
Next to a drill sergeant, it's probably one of the worst people that you could probably live with.
So when you go to sign a contract, yeah. Who that wants to join the military? Who that you think might sign a contract to join the military? Like, no, we're not doing this. What in the MLM is this?
Exactly.
The military is basically an MLM. Convince me I'm wrong. You can't. You can't convince me I'm wrong.
No.
Because you get bonuses for referring your friends into like a lifetime contract of selling your soul. That's the same thing as MLMs, They want to control a very large portion of your life. MLMs do the same thing. Like, no hate to those people who do MLMs, do your thing, girl boss, gatekeep, whatever. But like, it's not for me. The military was my MLM. We are done with that side of my life now. I had my taste. I'm good with what I came out with. You know what I mean?
But that's where I was headed to. It's like so the civilian side of things. Like I said, I got the taste of both worlds on that, the civilian side and the military side, because I did live on military base. So there was some things that I had to do. I was there for 2 years. So yeah, I mean the whole different story of living the military life and then transforming into civilian life is not. And then, like I said, and then you got all of this on top of it, and then everything else that has. Yeah, I'm surprised any of us are still functioning, or the ones that were like full blown military and stuff like that are still functioning today. I really am.
A lot of my community is either military affiliated or was in the military, and it kind of makes it a little easier to be able to talk about some of that stuff. Like my community and I, we talk about some pretty heavy topics. Sometimes we have the mental health command. We also work with Stack Up, just like you guys do. And it's great to have that sort of like cultivated community, but there's also a lot of people who have no military affiliation, or they're from other countries level of not having, American military affiliation, and seeing how different things are for our community, but still being able to like articulate what sort of impacts those have on us is pretty big. I mean, it's a little bit funny. You could tell when I left active duty because, like, I got both sides of my nose pierced. So I've had my nose pierced twice, but I got it re-pierced, and then I got the other side done the same day because I was just like, fuck it, we ball, you know? Um, and then I cannot wait to do like something really fun with my hair, like some like crazy, like not that the copper is not fun and bold and crazy, but like that's still considered like a natural color to some degree. Now the first like week that it's done, it's a little orange side, but like once it kind of tones down and like mellows out, it's closer to a natural color. But I want to do something crazy like purple. I don't know, like I'm trying to wild out. You know what I mean? I'm just not quite ready for that jump yet. And that's like that sort of transition that I was experiencing because my community was very like loving and accepting of any version of me as long as it was a healthy and, you know, not self, you know, spiraling into this god awful toilet of life. As long as I wasn't doing anything like that, they were very supportive of me, you know, trying new things, being different, branching out, all those sorts of deals. And that was huge for me when I left the military because I had literally been reprogrammed to be a certain type of person, and I lost that sort of individual sense of me. And you know, you always have parts of your personality and stuff, but you do lose a good part of it when you're in the military. There's a limit on how you can be, and it depends on who you have impressed or not impressed, the amount of rank on your chest, and how well you can fight. And that last one, gray area, you're not supposed to do that. But that, look, if you can fight, you might get away with more stuff. I'm just saying, like, depending on your MOS and the environment you're in, that might be how you settle some arguments. But going from that sort of a culture to like being able to be whoever you want can be difficult. I mean, and I grew up in a very military family. I mean, both of my parents were in, some of their parents, and so on, like aunts and uncles, things like that. Like I was so ingrained in that. And the fighting, yeah, Ash will tell you, the fighting one is true. Is gray area. It's not supposed to exist, but it does. It does, because sometimes if you can fight better than your rank can protect you, then you're fine, and that argument is done. But going from that sort of an environment to finding out who you are, like I've had this huge journey of like self-discovery, especially in the last like 2 years, because growing up I was in a military family. I was very like fall in line, be this certain type of person, and being able to be literally whoever I want now is still difficult for me because I find myself falling back into habits that were, you know, literally drilled into me, both as a kid and then when I joined later, because I didn't join right out of high school. I went to college first, but I still was like very involved with my family, you know, and so I still had this idea of who I was supposed to be. And so now like getting to explore that is awesome, but it's also terrifying because you're just like, do I like any of the things that I've thought I've liked for the last, you know, 27 years of my life? But it's exciting as a content creator to be able to build a community and, you know, that support system that you can, you know, try new things, discover who you are, be somebody else, you know, and not like in a fake way, not in a, you know, high school bullies sort of way, not like that, because we don't condone that shit in my community. Like that's a secret menu to the army, literally. How well can you fight?
No, and that's what a lot of us, I mean, like I said, the more we were talking earlier, and we talked about this before, is like a lot of us that do this are, you know, I'm not going to say that we're not well, but I mean, our mental,
we're not well. You can say it. We're not well.
You know, some of us are introverts. Some of us have suffer with more psychological, you know, like PTSD or something like that, or ADHD, or
obviously, if you guys haven't noticed by now, if you don't know me, you probably have made the assumption I have ADHD, and you would be correct. You would be correct.
But,
sorry.
I know there's a lot of people that I've, you know, talked to through these conversations that were in the military. You know, they fight PTSD. You know, and PTSD just doesn't come from the military. I mean,
yeah, just comes from a traumatic event. I happen to have overlap of the time I was in the military and the traumatic events happening, but a lot of times you say PTSD and people think, oh, you were in combat, you got blown up, you got shot at, something like that. And it's like, no, that's fucked up. that those things happen to people, but unfortunately I had a different kind of fucked up happen to me. So like,
Yeah.
it's the we have merch that literally says, thanks, it's the trauma. Because when people tell us that we're like funny or, you know, X, Y, and Z, we're like, thanks, it's the trauma, because that's how we cope, you know?
And that's it, coping. You know, this is our coping techniques, you know, our coping skills or whatever helps us cope with life in general. You know, it's just something to me. That's what drew me to streaming. That's what's making me stuck with it for such a long time. I mean, my numbers are not big. They're nowhere near big, but I enjoy doing it. I don't care. You know, in the beginning I did, but now I just don't care. It's just
that was one of the hardest things that people don't really prep you for. And they'll say things like, oh, don't worry about numbers. Don't worry about numbers. Like, don't look at, like, don't have your active viewer count, like, live. Because some people don't respond well to it, you know? But that was a hard thing to like stomach for a while, was not getting, I mean, I still get in my own head, and like I pump out some pretty decent numbers for some of my streams. It depends on time of the day, content that I'm doing, my mood, how involved I am that stream, because sometimes if I'm going through a lot of personal stuff, I do notice that I tend to draw back a little bit more. I start to like kind of fall back into a shell, and thankfully I have people around me who are like, hey, like, don't do this, we're not isolating, like, we're here. You're not by yourself. You don't need to handle things on your own. Like, you're not alone. Even when you feel alone, you're not alone. And I'm so grateful that I have that sort of community, because not everybody builds that sort of space.
But you know, that's it though. Building community. You know, I think it's one of the reasons why so many people fail. And I'm going to say fail because it is. They fail at streaming, and it's not because they're bad at it. It's just because, one, they've either not took the time to research it, not took the time to talk with other people.
I failed in my first year, let me tell you. There was a reason there was only a handful of streams. They were all bad.
No, I did too. I had no clue.
Yeah.
Even watching YouTube videos, they only give you the bare minimum. And they basically, like I said, they basically just talk about tech, you know, how to set up your stream, how to do this, and what you said, not
but a
look
lot
at
of it doesn't take this approach that you are, where it brings up kind of the ugly and like not so Hollywood side of doing this sort of stuff, because the glamour, the lights, the attention, the fame, all that stuff that, you know, people can claim that they don't want, but to some degree, you don't not want it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing a job that has that potential, you know? That's a huge thing, because there isn't this sort of content really out there. A lot of people don't take the time to address these sort of things. So it's huge that you're doing that. I wish that I had this sort of information when I had started streaming, because let me tell you, that first year would have been very different for me.
Right.
Ma'am.
You know, that's just the way I look at it too. Is it's like, man, if I the things I've learned just in the last 2 years of actually deep diving into content creation, and you have to, if you want to make this a space to where you're gonna excel and exceed your expectations, is you're gonna have to deep dive into. You're gonna have to one, balance your time.
I'm so bad about that.
No, that is.
And I've been doing it for years, you know. Like, you're not going to be perfect, but you need to put in the effort to these things that aren't often talked about, and that's the hard part.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I mean, because everybody comes on and is like, it's okay, I want to do a podcast. I want to do a podcast. How do you do podcasts? I go, well, podcasts are easy. I go, oh, you're already behind the camera. The hardest thing about it is finding what you're going to talk about. I mean,
one thing about me, I'm going to talk.
And finding people you connect. That's the one thing I tell.
That's another thing.
Anybody that wants to start a podcast, you cannot just interview just people out of the blue. That does not work.
No, you need to know what, like, and this applies to any form of content creation, you know, even just friends and things along that line of work. You need to understand that, like, there's a huge spectrum of the type of content that you provide on any platform, regardless of whether you're a YouTuber, just friends, all those sorts of things. All of those have different clientele, but then within that clientele, you're going to have to, like, understand who is your target audience. Who is it that you want to connect with? Who are you making content for? Because frankly, they are not like you're really having to sell yourself to them, because they don't need you.
Yep.
They want to have your content. And that is a thing for, like, you see so many people start up a podcast and then just like it fails. I
Yep.
did one episode of a podcast this time last year, and a lot of personal life kind of jumped in, and so I kind of gave up on that because I realized I was putting too much on my plate, like way too much. And so I had to recognize that like this is not going to succeed. This is going to be a failure because I can't dedicate the time, energy, and resources into doing the research on, who I want to be part of that experience, who I want to talk to, what we're going to talk about, because you also can't talk about the same thing with every single person, because eventually your content's going to be stagnant, it's going to be bland, and it's going to be repetitive. Even if all these different approaches and perspectives come at this content, you kind of end up just being a replay.
Yep. And see, and that's what I fell into. I mean, I love talking to you doing the creator interviews, but again, it's one of those things. I handpick the people I talk to because of the fact that I've got to have a minute sense of connection with them. Just
There's some people you're just not going to have that chemistry with.
No, I just like, for an example, I was asked to do interviews with a small org that just started, not the one that we're a part of, but another one that was wanting to get some of their creators and their team members, actual video interviews. And it's just like, okay, I tried it when I first started this because, it's like, okay, cool, I'm growing or whatever. So I started talking to some of these people, and as a podcaster, as the host, you should not have to lead the entire conversation.
No. And if that's the people that you are having on your show, then you might reconsider who is your target audience if those are the kind of people that you're interacting with.
If you're going to be a host for a podcast, you should hardly ever. All you should do is just have bullet points. That's why I like talking to Audree.
Because I never shut the fuck up.
Audree,
look, my community is telling you.
No, Audree is a great. I mean, everybody that I've had on here for this episode, everybody, Taylor, Brew, Silly Mom, Audree, everybody, even Glam, and the ones that are trying to redo their schedules that are be coming on later. Those are the ones that I've connected with in the past doing something, so I knew we would have a connection doing this. But connection. You need, and just with communities, it's not only that, it's with communities. You got to have a connection.
You cannot be sitting in front of your damn computer, because it doesn't matter how fucking good you are at a game. Comp sort of play versus content creation are not one and the same. Not every competitor is good at streaming, and not every streamer is good at comp. In fact, the majority of streamers are not good at comp. No. And having that realization that being in the comp realm and being in the pro gamer realm does not mean you have to be a streamer. Now, there are a lot of tournaments now that are, live streamed and stuff like that, and it's more of content creators versus solely being a comp player now. A lot of them realize that if they really want to expand their horizons and expand the type of content they can do, they have to create content of some kind. They have to have that connection with their communities. I mean, there are some people that are really damn good at a game, and they can sit there and not talk to chat. They can not acknowledge things. They've got 800 messages going, their chat's moving so damn fast, even in slow mode. But that doesn't apply to a majority. I mean, that is such like a niche amount of people that can get away with that, of just not really acknowledging chat. And it's unrealistic to jump into this being like, well, I'm just gonna do X, Y, and Z. My really good gameplay is gonna draw them in, and it's like it's not enough. You have to have that connection.
Yeah, and I somebody was talking about Ninja, streaming on live platforms. Ninja's a good example of that. He not only the reason, there's other reasons why he's doing that now, just because he's pissed off at Twitch and everybody else.
There's a whole lot of backstory to that.
Yeah, but he was one that he was a comp player. Hold on a second.
The dogs.
She's got a plastic piece. She's back there rolling.
Of course.
But no, that's one thing is like with Ninja. I mean, you watch some of these bigger streamers other than Ninja. You watch Shroud. If you've noticed, watch Shroud streams. He's starting to pay more attention to his chat now.
A lot of bigger streamers are adjusting that because they realize that, frankly, what's the difference of watching you be really good at the game versus somebody who does connect with their chat, somebody who does make me feel like I'm part of that experience? Because that's the whole point of live streaming. You are adding, because otherwise you just create content on YouTube and you'd upload that long stream that you didn't live stream but you just recorded, you just upload that. Live streaming is all about having that sort of like interpersonal connection and involving the community, regardless of whether you think that's how content creation should go for live streaming. That's the whole point of live streaming, is so that people can be active in the moment, not after the fact. And they're realizing that, like, hey, I am going to be obsolete if I think that just my skill is enough to keep people around, because it's not anymore.
No. And that's one thing I've been telling everybody too when they talk about it, is it's like a lot of people don't realize the viewership has changed. The
oh my God, yes.
have changed.
I mean, there's Twitch accounts. It's on right now. It's called Dash Ducks, and it's a live stream of ducks, and you can donate bits to give them treats and stuff. And it's like,
I'm gonna do that. By the way,
look, it's one of my favorite accounts to watch when I'm having a bad day. I'm gonna just watch ducks.
I have 5 ducks, so I'm gonna figure out how to do
that. Please. When you get that set up, I'm gonna be the biggest supporter. All of my money about to go to feeding those ducks. Like those treats, everything about to be paid for those ducks. I'm about to be those ducks sugar mama, because I love that kinds of stuff, you know. But it's not for everybody, you know. The content is not just gaming anymore. It's not just chatting. There is such a huge realm, and a lot of smaller businesses are realizing, like, I've seen some metalworks people literally build things on stream, and they don't interact as much with chat because, you know, they're working with their hands. It's a little harder. Sometimes they'll have somebody that is responding to chat as they build things. Feed my own animals. Now I'm gonna feed some strangers ducks. Exactly. Like, I'm trying to make these ducks' life very bougie. You know, just plump them up, live their little chunky life. You know, like, good for you. But like, that sort of change in content, like I said, a lot of small businesses are starting to get into the live streaming realm because they understand the value and the business opportunity that is. One, you're potentially bringing in more clients, but then 2, you're involving people into the process in a way that wasn't possible 15, 20 years ago. You know, it's huge.
You know, and see, and that just falls right back into the idea of, you know, some of the new creators that have come up that I have seen that, well, I mean, I'm really surprised that a lot of the people that, like, in the beginning when I first started, that are still around, because it's the same comments that I see in a lot of them. It's just like, okay, I'm not getting my views. I'm not doing this. I get so stressed out. You know, they change their content. They change this.
They rebrand 6 times a year, which is totally okay to rebrand. But look,
hey,
I am currently undergoing a rebrand. So, like, let's not pretend like 4 of those fingers are not pointing back at myself. Like, I mean, I'm keeping my same username, but like some of my branding is changing, and that's like huge, you know. Yeah. Okay. Z, Tim the Tatman is a huge example of that, because he is relatively good, but he's also exceptionally bad at some things, and he's so damn funny. If he were that same skill level but didn't have his personality, he would likely not have seen the success that he does, because he's so damn funny to watch. Like, that's the whole point of, like, watching the live streams, and even the content after that he makes from the live streams. Like, it's huge. It's something to consume that's just not just monotony.
No, but yeah, and Tim the Tatman is, you know, when people look up at the bigger streamers, they sit there and, oh, I want to be the next Ninja and everything else. No, that's who.
No, I want to be Tim the Tatman. Like, congratulations, Ninja. You're great at, like, everything you do. That's nice and all, but, like, some of us aren't good at everything, and that's okay. Some of us just want to enjoy being funny. Like,
I always ask somebody this thing. Okay, you take some of the big top streamers like Ninja, the Doc, you know, even though we're not supposed to say his name over here, even though he's not banned over here no more, but we're not supposed to say his name over here.
He who shall not be named.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, Ninja, Doc, all of them that you say, and even Tim the Tatman, if you round up all the ones that were like the OG streamers, even Pokimane, all of them, if you put all of them together as a brand new streamer today, who do you think would make it?
Tim, 100%.
Tim would be the only
Tim. Well, you know, some of them do have more personality added to their streams over the last couple of years, but I would definitely say, like, if you took the personalities alone, like, not any of the resources, anything like that, the personality and the work ethic alone, those 2 things, Tim the Tatman all day, man. Like,
see, I haven't watched. To tell you the honest to God truth, the only thing of Dr. Lupo, I mean, I know he's a great content creator, and that's just it. You need to separate them. You need to
Mm-hmm.
separate streamers
They're
from
each
content
individual.
creators. I mean,
They're
this
their
is
own categories.
yeah. I mean, I don't classify myself as a streamer. I classify myself as a content creator because I do this for other platforms. I
Yeah.
mean, I try, anyways,
I'm
but
mostly a streamer
um,
and then like occasionally a content creator, depending on my mental health. Like
but I
depending on
get
where I'm at, I'm a
yeah.
content creator.
But it's like content creating in my book is like ones that are heavily active. You'll know a content
Mhm.
creator that is heavily active into social media, um, and they do this like on the side. This is like their side hustle is what I look at it. It's just me, but you'll see a lot of them in social medias, Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat. I mean, if that's still a thing nowadays.
Twitter?
But
Hell yeah. I just tweet every stupid little thought that comes to my brain and people like that.
and and that's what Twitter's all about. I mean,
Yeah, that's Twitter
that's
is.
what
It's
Twitter is
brain
all
dumping
about.
every stupid idea.
But Dr. Lupo, no, I've seen some of his clips and some of his VODs, but I've never actually watched a stream.
I
Yeah,
have, and it has like he is huge about like mental health stuff. I also follow
yeah,
his wife on Twitter. She is wonderful, and she is just as passionate about not just his career, but all of, like the mental health stuff and just like connection. Like they both, like they are a dream team because
yeah,
not having that support system. You tell people you want to be a live streamer or a content creator, and you're gonna get some looks from most people.
oh
And
yeah,
it's unfortunate, but it's the reality because we have a very jaded view of what that is, you know?
yeah. I mean, like I said, we were talking about, it took my wife 3 years to
Understand what this
understand.
is.
She thought it was the same thing. It's just like you just sit behind here and waste all your time.
Mm-hmm.
But I
There's so
think
much more than that.
the thing is, I might not have made a lot of money off of this, nowhere
I mean,
near
look,
livable, money,
if
but
I made $5, that's
yeah,
$5 I didn't have prior to
and
branching out into something new and just taking the jump.
and that was one of my things. I said if I didn't make any money off of this over a year, um, that oh, you said vibrator. Come on, Twitch. Oh, I'm not in my why can't I?
Oops.
I'm in my dashboard. I can't even change it.
Sod.
What? Oh, there it is. Allow. Um, but some of the things
I
too.
just read what this. So Jamie has several of my community members have my tweet notifications on, and I keep telling them to at least turn off the retweets one because I don't sleep a whole lot. I got
Oh,
insomnia, a lot of my mental health stuff
yeah.
that does not help with my sleep schedule. I definitely do not get enough sleep. I try. Sometimes my brain don't let me, and so you know what I do? I scroll on Twitter and I retweet a bunch of stupid shit. I engage in a bunch of different content. I tweet every stupid little thought at like 2 in the morning. Yeah, the Dr. Lupo thing, him stopping in the middle of the stream, talking the guy down, and then saying, "Hey, you better be one of the first people there." I mean, that was probably when I really discovered him, and like, because I knew who he was as a creator, but I wasn't really involved in his community until then. Like, I saw how that reaction was, and I was just like, "That's the kind of person I want to be as a
Yeah.
content creator." Because they care, but it also can take a huge toll sometimes.
Yeah, and
Some
that's
people
one.
take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's one thing you got to realize. It's like, and that's what I see. I see so many mental health streams popping up. There's a lot popping up here in the last few months to the last year.
Because the mental health be mental health.
But there's so many people that don't understand how to run a mental health stream. I mean, and I think
You have the timer in your chat talking about, hey, we talk about some heavy topics. Here's some trigger warnings and stuff just in case. And content warnings matter and specific ones matter. Because I had actually tweeted just like within the last couple weeks, I had a full blown like PTSD episode because something I didn't realize was going to triggered the hell out of me because the content warning was not in the movie content warnings.
oh
It just said general violence, and it was trigger warning unaliving. It was that, and my guard was completely down. I didn't realize that was a trigger for me in general. Like I knew that sometimes it could be a trigger for me, but like not always. Unfortunately, I've had some people close to me take their lives, and so it's very difficult for me sometimes. But I didn't realize how significant that was. but people don't put trigger warnings or any sort of content warnings. They don't have, response resources. I mean, you have the one that's the timer that talks about the stack up, like reaching out for resources if any of this is too heavy for you. Like, don't bear that burden alone. And a lot of people I've noticed do not put those sorts of things there. We have a timer for, hey, like, take a second if you just got here to like kind of see what the mood is, so that you don't, hop in and say something that normally may be okay in a conversation, but if there's a heavier topic being discussed, may not be the time or place. And we also have some for the mental health one too, because we recognize that, like, we saw the impact that some conversations people were having and not having those sort of like warnings and resources could have on the community.
And
so
actually,
be really careful.
And actually, if anybody actually does read TOS at Twitch, you are required by TOS to put those in your chat and on your stream title.
Yep.
I mean, if you're an 18 over, if you drink, vape, smoke, or anything like that on your stream, you're supposed to be 18 plus. Period.
You're not only supposed to mark it, but like you're supposed to like have reminders. And like, so a lot of people don't realize, like, I tell people, you better not be talking about age in chat, even as a joke, because a lot of times people will make jokes about, oh, I'm only like 13 and stuff. And it's like, no, do not make those jokes, because if I don't regulate my chat, I can also be banned for that. So you making a joke about being underage in an 18 plus stream that is marked as 18 plus, which means if you were underage and you were there, you lied about your age, which violates TOS, but then I didn't regulate my chat, I can get banned for that. And people get so mad, they're like, what? I don't even know that. I know damn good and well I did tell you that, because I talk about that all the damn time. A lot of people in my community, we deal with like different chronic pain, because a lot of us are veterans, or then just like have had things happen in life, because life be lifing, and that's something that, like, there's times where I've had to end stream because I'm in too much pain, and like I'll usually just kind of like deal with it. Sitting usually isn't too bad for me, but if I'm doing like a cooking stream and it's a long one, I can't do it. Life without chronic pain, never heard of her. Exactly, like never heard of her. Would not know what that's like. I was a 3-season athlete in high school, and then I was in college doing entirely too much for what my body could handle, and then I joined the military. Like, I was not making good decisions about taking care of my body. So that chronic pain, she been here.
Yeah, this is like, sitting as a content creator too, or a streamer, sitting behind your desk. That's the reason why, people's like, oh, I'm going to do a 24-hour stream. The first thing I ask, if they've ever done, first thing I ask when I hear that is like, have you ever done a 12-hour stream?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Because that was something I had to kind of nicely talk somebody down from, because they had never done more than like a 3-hour stream, and they would struggle to get to the 3 hours. And I'm like, sweetie, you do not have to do 24-hour streams. You do not have to produce any content that you don't want to. That's the joy of content creation. Now, is there a chance that you're going to not get some of the, I don't know, recognition or attention that other streamers might? Sure. But that's the case with anything. I mean, even the same person doing the same kind of content, same level of like quality, may not get the same attention for it, because it just, sometimes the algorithm doesn't work for you. Sometimes you don't market it well, whatever it may be. But like jumping in, I mean, I know people who are like, oh, I need to do a 24-hour stream. And I'm like, why do you think you need to do one? I do them because they're kind of fun and chaotic, and my community loves them. But I also Jamie brought up, I regularly do like accidentally 12 hours sometimes. And by sometimes, I mean like a majority of my streams are more than 8 hours.
Her last 24 hours she did, I DM'd her. It was like, I watched her on and off throughout the night, and then I seen her back on Twitter, like a few hours later.
Like 4 hours later, and you're like, did you sleep?
I go, have you not been to bed yet?
You also don't know how to sleep? Lower your voice. How dare you call me out like this?
But see,
I'm trying my best.
There are some people that are, can handle it, especially if you already have some type of sleep. Sleep issue.
I got insomnia. 24-hour streams ain't nothing.
I used to drive truck for a living when I was younger, so and I hauled cattle, so there was no stopping like you see normal truck drivers. Truck drivers, when you're hauling freight, you're required no matter what to stop.
Yeah.
But when you're having basically live cargo,
you
cannot follow those regulations, but you have to prove that you don't follow them. So I mean, I'm lucky if I got 5-10 minutes of sleep a night. That, there was some nights, there
That's
was
so taxing.
there was some weeks that I might have, for the entire week that I was out, I might have got 24 hours of sleep through that entire week.
Relatable problem.
So,
But I wasn't driving.
yeah, but that was a good job for me because that's the way I've been from day
Yeah.
one. I have never been able. I can function fully on 3 hours of sleep. Does it catch up with me? Yes, it does.
I was gonna say I can do it for a period of time.
Yeah.
And then I'm probably gonna sleep for a good 18 hours straight one day. Well, I mean, I'll wake up here and there, but like it'll be 18 hours of me not doing a damn thing other than
Yeah.
sleeping and then like maybe eating and drinking.
I
Jamie
was.
brings up a good point. There's a lot of times where my streams, she'll wake up for work. Now, granted, she is 2 hours ahead of me, but she'll wake up for work and I'm still live. And she's like, go to bed. Like, she'll call me out too because she has my tweet notifications on. So anytime I tweet, she gets a text to her phone or like the notification to her phone. And like, there will be times where I'll mention that, all right, guys, I'm going to go to bed. And then 3 hours later, I'm on Twitter and she goes, ma'am, you better be in bed. And I'm like, I'm in bed. I'm just not sleeping.
Yeah. So see, I do the same thing. I'm lucky if I'm asleep by 2 o'clock.
Oh God, yeah. That's like a
2,
blessing.
3
I
o'clock.
took that nap earlier because I was so damn tired and almost
I know.
slept through this.
She was
Literally,
like,
had I not gotten that phone call, I would not have made it to this because I was dead to the. I slept through every single alarm, every single month. There was like 7 alarms, and they started at like 4 p.m. my time. Guys, if you didn't know, I'm 2 hours behind him.
Yeah.
So that was like a decent
she's
amount
actually-
of time for me to be able to be up and ready, and I slept through every single one. Woke up 10 minutes before I was supposed to be here.
Yeah, she's 2 hours behind the stream time, or what I
Yeah.
advertise stream time, but she's only actually an hour behind me. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's just like, and that's one thing too that will stress. Talking about the 24 hours,
Yes.
12 hours.
Oh my God. It takes me several days to recover.
And that's why I ask people is like, have you ever went longer than I'm going to recommend right now, if you're ever going to thinking about doing a 24-hour stream, like she said, you don't have to do a 24-hour stream. I see these people
You gotta do a damn thing but die someday. That's the only thing you are obligated to do.
I mean, I see these people doing 72-hour streams trying to do the subathons and everything else. And it might work for some, but it's not going to work for all. And those ones that it don't work for is going to take a toll on their mental
I was
health.
going to say the biggest thing is like I have chat redemptions. I reduced the one for water. I just put a cooldown on it so people can't spam it because they used to spam it and I had it more expensive and they just would spam it. But now it only costs 25 channel points for them to tell me, hey, drink some water. And there's like a 5-10 minute cooldown so that I'm not like constantly drinking water. Yeah. And I have a stretch one that reminds me to stretch, chat will remind me to stretch and things. And like, if I do a long stream, if it's more than like 18 hours, I'm going to sleep. The days of me doing that whole staying awake for it, like last year, not this year, but last year, I brought in the new year with a 48-hour stream, but I slept maybe an hour and a half during it. And it was towards the last few hours because I was delirious.
Yeah.
Like, and I was somebody who was used to that type of like long game sort of stuff. But if you don't take care of yourself during it, like I've been asked to do like an uncapped subathon multiple times, and I'm not in a place where I can based on my personal life stuff. I have a lot of medical appointments and things like that, and I do some of them virtually, so like I can't do that. I can't live stream while I'm virtually doing my appointments and stuff. Like that's not gonna happen unless maybe I did it on my phone and like went upstairs for it. But like making sure you're eating, making sure you're drinking water, like standing up and stretching. I don't stand up and stretch enough, but I do stretch like my upper body a decent amount, largely due to chat remind me. But it takes a lot out of you. And if you're not somebody who has done it before or has, been exposed to how it should be as far as like taking care of yourself, then like you're going to have a bad time. I mean, even with sleep and stretching and all those things, it still takes me, like 2-3 days to recover from a 24-hour stream with sleep.
Yeah. Well,
It takes so much out of you.
Yeah, because I know, sitting behind these computer screens, sitting behind these lights.
It's exhausting to your eyes.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be easy. That's what so many people do. They think it's easy. I can do it. I stay up.
They're like, all I got to do is just sit here. And it's like, okay, but you're dealing with all the lights. You're dealing with actually having to be entertainment.
Yeah.
And like a lot of times if you just have a certain personality, it is a little bit easier, but it's still taxing for that amount of time you've got to interact with people, like that's gonna burn anybody out.
Yeah. Because I was one of those people. I did a 12-hour charity stream when I first started, had no community, and I don't recommend it either. If you're gonna do these, have a community, have
Yeah.
something taxing you,
Have a reason that you're taxing your body this way, you
because
know?
it's not gonna help you grow just by thinking, okay, I'm gonna do this, and it won't help you grow. What? Reaper,
That's not it.
with that sub. Thank you for that, my dude.
Genie, you're such a gem.
Thank you for using your Prime.
Oh, hell yeah, guys.
People don't
Little
realize.
plug.
People do not realize that Prime is a free to anybody that is subscribed to Amazon Prime, and you pick a streamer to do that. And I hate streamers. I'm going to say this bluntly. I hate streamers that do not acknowledge a Prime sub
Yeah.
over anything else.
They chose they get one streamer every 30-day period, so it doesn't reset on like the first of the month. They have to wait that 30 days, and it is manual every time that they have to do to use that. And like that's a big deal. Like of all of the streamers on Twitch, like you chose me.
Exactly.
Like hell yeah, that's a big deal.
Well, thank you for using your Prime on this channel.
Thanks for Daddy Bezos' money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, any money that comes through this stream through tips, donations, subs, everything else goes back into what I'm trying to start as a streamer fund to help streamers that don't have like equipment or things like that. So once, like I said, any money, because I work full time, it pays my bills. This doesn't pay my bills, so any money I get off of this, and even if I do make it big off of this, I'm only going to collect 10% of it, and everything else is going to go into a streamer fund.
And that's huge.
But thank you for that. I appreciate that.
That's why you have blue light glasses. Okay, but eventually your eyes are still going to be taxed by the amount of light that you are exposing yourself to over periods of time because you're messing up your circadian rhythm. Even if you have a terrible circadian rhythm, like me, you're still going to mess it up.
Yeah, but there's so much things. But yeah, the 24-hour streams, don't do them. They're unless you have a full agenda to do the 24 hours.
Have a plan for what you're going to do. It doesn't always have to go as planned, but have a plan.
You know,
it takes me usually a couple weeks to like plan mine out. Don't look at my phone. I haven't looked at my phone this whole damn time. What you mean?
Yeah, she hasn't looked at her phone.
I have not been on my phone. My phone is actually over there. Thank you very much.
Actually, the last conversation and this conversation, she never did look at her phone. We're totally. That's the reason why.
To this conversation.
It's the reason why I was so glad she came on. You know, she agreed to. I mean, she didn't even hesitate. It was like,
yeah, it was. You asked me like one question of it, and I was like, yes. I didn't have any details, and I was like, yes, I would love to. I was like, this was so much fun last time. Absolutely. Like, what do you need from me? Like, what are we gonna talk about? Like, what is the plan? I've already agreed to it. I hope that I like the plan.
But no, I mean, there's even some other things that we talked about, but, you know, life gets in the way, so we couldn't get it done. We were going to do like a content creator 101 type thing, in business side of it. But, you know, but no, I mean, yeah, 24-hour streams, like I said, unless you have a plan, stay away from them.
You don't have to do them.
And the subathons?
Not mandatory. Same thing with subathons. Yeah, you don't have to do subathons. You don't have to do... I mean, you don't even have to do charity events. If that's something you don't feel comfortable with, if you would prefer to just not run a campaign, because that is a lot of work, and a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, you basically have to do a sales pitch when you're doing charity streams, because that's what it is. I mean, unless you're doing a really big charity that a lot of people know about, and like every single person you know knows about, you're going to have to give some kind of sales pitch of like, hey guys, this is why we're raising money for this thing now. We work with Stack Up in my community. I know that you work with Stack Up too. We're working with them again this year. Last year, they were only supposed to be our charity for the first quarter, but we enjoyed working with them so much, and we felt so passionately about what their mission was that we decided to work with them for the rest of the year. And we raised like over $4,300 last year, which was huge, you know, like felt amazing that my community was able to like pull together and over that 12 months do all of that. That was massive, you know. And we're working with them again this year because it's something we're passionate about, but not everybody knows every charity. So you're going to have to give essentially a sales pitch.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now with Stack Up, last year was their biggest year.
Yep.
I think they raised over $350,000. And if y'all don't know what Stack Up is, I mean, I'm gonna give a little plug. Stack Up is it's a military charity organization designed to help anybody that's a vet, active, inactive, and they deal with all our allied nations. It's just not just the U.S. They deal with everybody.
And they have also pointed out, because I had done a tweet before about the mental health stuff, they are never going to turn you away if you need to talk with somebody in crisis response. It's just that their focus is primarily on military affiliated. So like, active service members and veterans. If you're going through a crisis and you can't get a hold of other resources, they're never going to turn you away. And they were very public about that. And I like how he said hydrate, and that was not water, sir.
I don't have water.
Hey guys, remember how we were talking about streamers need to take care of themselves? That's so fucking crazy. I can't believe that we would not adhere to those guidelines.
That is my water.
Go and get some damn kidney stones.
Yeah, alcohol has water in it. I mean,
oh my god, you guys are all. I can't stand y'all. My community does the same thing. They'll argue that energy drinks have water in them, and I'm like, I'm going to whoop your ass. These are going to dehydrate you. You need actual water. Tequila's not water. Just because there's water in it does not make it water. Does not mean it is hydrating you. Take care of your goddamn bodies.
As I moved my liquor bottle out of the way.
Yeah. Out of the view, just like it's like Homer Simpson just falling back into that bush. He's just like fucking hiding. It's very strong water. Shut up, Z. You're so agitating.
I mean, you're probably lucky you can't see the light. Yeah. If I'm drinking Rogue, I'm getting water. There you go.
You do mix it with water, but if there's caffeine is a diuretic. You're going to dehydrate yourself eventually. You have to drink water. I don't understand like grown adults who are like, water's gross. What? You will die without some, like actual water in some capacity. Please drink some water. Your poor organs are begging you for a drop of water at this point. Like, just, I'm begging you.
No, usually I do have water in here, but tonight I didn't have any. Usually it's in my little fridge along with everything else. But,
how many fridge got waters in it? Because otherwise I have to go upstairs and I'm lazy. Let's be honest here. I'm not trying to go all the way upstairs for a beverage.
Oh no, that's because I want to get a bigger one, but that's the only one that they had that I could fit in here right now. But my wife's like, "What do you need a fridge for?" It's like, because I'm tired of getting up and going all the time.
One, I have a command in my stream that is !chair, and it's like, enjoy the chair stream, because then they get to just look at my chair while I'm upstairs like grabbing food or like refilling drinks, because like I don't have them refilled down here, or like I'm making tea or something. And I do have like a little Ninja coffee maker thing down here, but I don't always use it. Sometimes I'll make it upstairs and like use an actual kettle. And so like, especially right now, because I've been sick, I go upstairs and I use the kettle instead. And so like, it's a good like 5-10 minutes that they're going to be looking at the chair. And so it's just chair stream. Yeah. Chair is the best part of the stream. It's a pretty cool chair, you know?
Use Audrey's code since she's the guest, not my code.
No, use Rebel's code.
We're both affiliated with Techni, so.
Hey, they're a good company. We talked about that last time.
Oh,
about,
man.
You know, how, like, if you guys don't know already, one of the reasons I chose Technosport to be affiliated with, I got a chair from them before I ever thought about affiliating. Mm-hmm. And the reason I affiliated was because they donate 3% of every sale to charity. And depending on which chair you get is what charity that money goes towards and stuff. And they have donated so much money towards different charities because of it. And that's something like, if I'm paying the same amount as I would with any other brand on the market, really, and I'm getting the same quality, but then I'm also contributing to something that I'm passionate about, I'm all about it.
Yeah. Well, at least I know the chat commands work for, you can go into Stream Elements and critique if there's certain words said in chat. I didn't realize those worked until now. It's like, why are we talking about chairs? And all of a sudden that come up and it's like, oh yeah. Command. But no. And the reason why I went through Techni and the reason why I will stay devoted to Techni is one, I like their product, but, and the fact that they donate most of their, some of their earnings to charities. But as an affiliate, I reached out to them and asked them for so many things, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, we love help."
Yeah. Oh
I'm
my
an
gosh.
affiliate.
They are like, I know a lot of people look down on affiliate based programs for sponsorships or any sort of relationship with a brand, because a lot of people don't understand there's a difference between being sponsored, affiliated, and partnered.
Yeah.
Sponsored, you are getting paid to advertise them. The advertisement is what gets you paid. Affiliate base, usually you're getting a portion of the sale, you get a discount code, all that types of stuff. Partner, same thing, just usually upped a little bit more. You might get a little bit more free product depending on the brand. But that's something that a lot of people will try to tell you, oh, this is a predatory thing. But like, I'm okay with some of the brands having that sort of relationship with them because I believe in that brand. I stand by their products, all that sort of deal. Like, if it gets my community a chance to save some money on something that I'm already going to tell them they should buy, like, yeah, I'm going to do it personally. And it's not for everybody, and that's perfectly okay. I'm not saying that everybody should do that, but like
Yeah.
sorry, my ghost is adjusting my lights. It's not for everybody, but like, if that's like, I am like the girl's girl that like, you compliment literally anything I have, and I'm like, thank you, I got it on sale, here's a coupon code, and this is the link to it. Like,
Mhm.
I am all about, we don't gatekeep in this house. Like,
No.
somebody mentions that they like one thing, and I'm like, hey, this is 3 different places you can get it, here's the coupon codes I know for each of those websites. Or like, I'll literally spend my time trying to find them one, because like, I don't know, that's just like, I'm from the Midwest, like, we love a good coupon, okay?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm not like full-blown couponer, but like, we like a good sale, you know? And if I'm already going to be telling people like, hey, you should get this thing, you might as well get a discount for me
Yeah.
telling you to do that.
You know, and then that's another thing that goes into another topic of mental health as a streamer or content creator is when you're first starting out, so many people jump on the bandwagon of all these.
Oh
Uh,
my goodness, yes.
Guilty. I was guilty of the thumb grips, and
Oh,
you know that's the first one. Usually, if you're a beginner streamer, that's the first one that reaches out to you, just because they see you in the Twitter and they start DMing you about, you know, come be an affiliate or if you see affiliate ambassador, or I don't know, even some of them are even using sponsored, but you're really not
but
sponsored.
it's not a sponsorship. Like, one of the brands that I work with, Rogue, had early last year put out an article, like a blog post, discussing the differences between them, because as I like very roughly tried to explain, the sponsorships, you're getting paid for the advertisement, not for the sales you make. Affiliate and partner base, or ambassador programs, you're a sales associate essentially, and you may get different perks and stuff depending on the brand. They may send you free product and like do different giveaways, like Rogue does that with like their partners and affiliates, where like they'll do some different giveaway type stuff and like give you product without you having to spend money to promote them. But there's a difference between all those things. A sponsor is not paying you for the sales you make. They don't care they are paying you for the advertisement value that you have in representing their brand.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, when you're first starting out as a streamer, one of the things is like you're wanting to get when you first start out, you're trying to get as much notoriety as you possibly can. And I'm going to guarantee right now that all of these companies that reach out to you as a beginning streamer, you're not going to get the notoriety. You're not going to get noticed.
Yeah, because of them.
Yeah, because
they're doing the same thing to everybody else.
Yeah, there's so many of them. You know, I was partnered with an energy company here recently in the last year. I got partnered with them for a while. I was only with them for 3 months, and I dropped my partnership for the fact because
it was disingenuous.
I was basically an affiliate.
Yeah.
Partnership status. You know, I was doing 4 tweets a month, a promo video. I was basically doing about $6,000 worth of advertising if they did for just one single ad at an ad agency for $50 a month for a product. You know,
that's a horrible contract. And that's another thing, is a lot of people don't know that a contract is necessarily good or bad, especially when it comes to content creation in general, not just live streaming. But when you get offered to like, hey, you know, we want you to post this much for the brand, look at the terms at which they require for those things. Like, if your time and effort is being spent doing all this advertising for them and they're not paying you accordingly, then you should probably get the fuck out. Like, don't feel like you're barred in there, and also don't feel like you can't leave. Like, you can still enjoy a product and not want to be a partner, an affiliate, an ambassador, any of those things. You can decide that, hey, you know what, this isn't the sort of relationship I want with this brand. I would prefer to just enjoy the brand as it is and not be required to do a lot of unpaid work, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, you gotta do, and that's so many streamers too, when they start out, even the ones that have been with it for a while, they forget what they're worth.
Yes. We undervalue ourselves so much when it comes to stuff. Now, there's sometimes when people like kind of wild out in their rates. I'm like, you don't really have the reach for that kind of dollar sign, but I appreciate the confidence. But like as a whole, we're not like that, you know? Like there needs to be that sort of balance, and there's not a lot of education on that side of it. Just like there's not a lot of education on like the mental health side of it. Just like, you know, the resources are few and far between, and you're kind of at the front of that because it's not commonplace to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I think people are scared. I mean, people are scared to, you know, it is a touchy subject because, you know, if I didn't know Audree before we came into this, you know, I would have probably sent her a questionnaire. It's like, okay, what can I and can I not talk about? Because I'm not one of these that want to pry into people's lives to try to get views, you know, to try to put content.
You're not a tabloid.
No. And so that's the reason why, even with my last ones, you know, with Brew was I brand new. I had just met her and everything else. We talked for an hour prior to the stream, just so I could
gauge where those limits are.
You know, everybody says, "Oh, I'm an open book," but that you might say that until I ask a certain question.
I was gonna say, you say that until I convince you that you're not.
So, you know, I did that with one of my other interviews. It's like, oh, I'm an open book. You can ask me anything. Well, I asked something, you know, that had to deal with it. And I could just tell by the look. It's like, okay, that's not something we need to talk about.
That is a yellow light, which means stop in this case. Or ask a clarifying question and then find out whether it is a full-blown stop and avoid that way.
But, you know, it's like I said, I knew with Audree, you know, with her, you know, we already discussed a lot of stuff in the, you know, off stream before, back when we first met. So
yeah,
but so yeah, I mean, and that's another thing, you know, getting to know somebody. If you're going to start a mental health stream, make sure that you know you know your boundaries.
Yes, and understand that you have to so beyond, like, I mean, every stream you should, especially with like moderators and stuff, have some sort of a plan of like, hey, if these sort of situations arise, this is how we react. I'll tell you right now, back when hate rating was significantly bigger, and it was just rampant on this platform. I mean, you have Seribot set up too, and I have been hate rated 4 or 5 times in the last like few months, and Seribot took care of almost all of those bots and those like hateful remarks and everything. And it clears the chat for everybody except for moderators so that we can ban anybody who may have like filtered through the cracks, because Sari based it off of an updated list that is consistently updated of like, hey, these are accounts that are not legit, you know, add these to the auto ban list. So that if they even try to type in chat, they're gone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have it. I don't have it in my main channel because I don't stream over there enough, but this one here, I wanted to, just for the fact, because I have other people on that need to be subjected to that. So,
and that's the thing that you have to think about when it comes to those mental health talks. If you're going to involve anybody else in it, you are liable for anything that happens in your chat anytime. But when it comes to a mental health stuff, you better be prepared for some shit to happen, because you hope that it doesn't. But like, what if it does? What's your plan? How are you going to counteract any of those things? How are you going to tackle that sort of problem? Like, what if somebody gets triggered based on a conversation and they're the guest? Not even just like somebody who can step away. What if the guest gets triggered by whatever the conversation topic is, or something that's been put in chat? Like, that is your responsibility, you know, as the host, to like be able to kind of fizzle that out, or, you know, have the resources available for that. And that's more than some people realize when they start it up.
That's the reason why I switched to this program that I use now, because of the fact, if it does to the point where something happens, I can switch a scene. It mutes everybody's audio, goes into a backstage, only me and her can talk. and nobody else hears it. You
Yeah.
know, the other programs I used, you went to another stream, you had to physically go and mute audio.
All the different audios. Yeah.
So this one here, as soon as I switch a scene that she's not a part of, it mutes her audio. I can only talk to her. So that's
Yeah.
the way.
Because during that little intro, we were bullshitting.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a backstage. This one here, I love it. It costs a little more. It's like $40
But
a
it's a
month.
worthwhile investment if you're serious about what you do. Those sort of things absolutely come back to you in some form.
And that's another thing too, you know, talking about being a streamer, you know, either starting up, even ones that have been around for a while. Everybody thinks that they have to have the best equipment, you know, because it's like you see our stuff. You know, I do this for me because I like it. I don't care what anybody else thinks about it. This is my little man cave, so it's like I wanted to design it
It's
the way.
your space.
Exactly.
Mine's a little chaotic right now, and my camera, we're using a not as good camera, but it's still a good camera. You know, like you can still see everything. I have a nice $600 camera sitting right behind it that we're having some tech issues, which are potentially about to get real costly. So like, you want to get back to that stuff. Like that is something you need to be prepared for, because there's a chance that shit's gonna fail. It's not gonna be perfect, and that's okay. But like, even just going from that camera to this like webcam, like you don't have to have the best. Sure, like you want certain quality for yourself, but like it doesn't have to be top of the line. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars. Like I could sell my whole setup and probably put a good down payment on at least a car, if not a house, because I got a lot of shit in here. I got a lot of collectibles and stuff. But this is my space, you know?
Yeah.
Like this is the first space I've ever had in my entire life, because I was a military kid. I was one of 5 kids. And a lot of times I was sharing rooms with siblings. And then even when I wasn't, I was being somebody that fit into whatever mold the people around me wanted me to be. And so, you know, we talked about that earlier of like, I'm in this stage still of like self-discovery, and I don't think I'll ever not be in it, because you're always evolving and changing, you know, who you are and what your interests are. But like my room is full of so much shit that just brings me joy. And we joke all the time that like my dopamine purchases are just fantastic, because they're pretty great. I find some pretty awesome stuff on the internet. I have too much time on my hands, and then I have adult money. I am basically a teenager in an adult's body with an adult bank account, you know? But it's my space, you know, and I've cultivated that sort of space for myself. It just happens to have some nice equipment. And that was not all at once. There are people like Z remembers, there were days where I was streaming from a papasan chair in a guest bedroom on a TV that was cut off a resolution with a PlayStation, and I didn't even have a webcam initially, and then eventually I got a really shitty webcam, and just gradually over time it's gotten more and more advanced. But it was not this huge drop a bunch of money in the beginning. You do not need to do that.
Yeah. No. And especially if you're just starting out, because if you you can stream off. I mean, consoles are so advanced nowadays. You can stream straight off a console. The C920s are still the cheapest, best camera that you can buy for a start.
That's the exact webcam I'm using right now.
I've got a C920 and a C922 that I use as a spare camera, and I mean the C922. I'm sorry.
I think mine's not
Logitech.
Yeah,
they are crap.
I forget which one it is. I have one of those. It's the 9 something.
What you're seeing right now, this is a GoPro.
Yeah. GoPros are really good ones to use too, but they're pricey.
Yeah. Well, if it wasn't for the first one that I got for like a buddy of mine gave it to me for $50, you know, and now, you know, it still has to be connected to a capture card and everything else. I capture cards at Walmart for $20. Both of my cameras, my stream camera that I use for my gaming and this camera I use for this stuff here, are both run off of $20 4K capture cards at Walmart.
Yeah, you don't have to buy the expensive ones.
So
I didn't know that when I first started out, so I spent a lot of money on that capture card because I was like, I don't know shit about this.
Yeah, I mean,
I just went by the videos I was seeing, and you know that sort of like affordability is not really pushed, unfortunately, by the masses.
Yeah, buy Elgato, buy the $300 capture card, buy the $400 internal 4K. I'm sorry, you do not need 4K.
You don't need all that. Don't get me wrong, I love Elgato products.
Oh no!
But if you're just starting out, you do not need to jump straight into some of that tech.
And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not affiliated on Twitch and you think a 4K is going to boost your
it ain't going to do what you think it's going to do.
because you're
a
regulated.
really expensive paperweight.
Yeah, because you're regulated on Twitch, even as an
I think
affiliate.
it's only
you're regulated.
$7.20 for prior to affiliate, just
Yeah,
non-monetized streams. I think they're capped out
yeah,
at $7.20.
yeah. You don't get the 1080 until you get, and you don't get the 4K until you become partner.
Yeah, 4K is partner, and even not all partners get access to 4K
No,
because there's tiers to partner on Twitch, even though it's like unspoken. A partner's a partner, but it's not. Because let me tell you right now, the partners at the top are getting a lot more opportunities and things than people who just, barely hit the mark, which is still a huge achievement. And that is not to diminish any level of streamer. It is just to say that you are treated differently based on the amount of money you bring
oh yeah,
to the table. And not everybody gets the same resources. I mean, even those ads, we're all forced to run ads. We don't get a choice. If you're monetized, they're running ads. You may get to choose kind of a little bit about it, but not even everybody. Like, so I'm monetized, but I don't get an ad offer every month, depending on how much I streamed and what my CCV is and all that types of stuff. It varies. And like, there's some people that will get offered like $4,000 a month of steady income to do a certain number of ads in a certain amount of time. And it's like, then there's some people that don't get paid at all, but they're still having to run ads. I mean, you get the ad revenue that's about this big, but still, I mean,
how
it's not the same for everybody.
2 years ago when I was running 200 hours a month plus, because I thought I had to, I fell into the whole thing of the grind. People at the grind, no,
The grind is a fallacy. It's not a real thing.
The grind will kill you.
Yes. Literally. I mean, there's people who have been so burnt out that they've ended up in the hospital because they weren't taking care of themselves. They were so focused on this grind sort of culture. And that's not even just content creation. That's also, athletes. That literally anybody. The grind, when it comes to anything, is a load of horseshit to sell you to overwork yourself, undercare for yourself, and undersell yourself.
Nope.
100% you're not getting paid for what your effort is. Regardless of what that payment is for you. It doesn't always have to be monetary.
No. Yeah. There was what is it? Oh, I can't remember what it is. I should have quoted it because it was like one of those midnight quotes or, late night quotes when, I do my best thinking after midnight. And I had like an awesome quote about the grind and I can't remember it now. I have to go back and look at the tweet, but yeah, when people say you got to grind it out,
you don't got to grind a damn thing. You need to understand marketing, and that's your biggest thing. That is the hardest but most important thing that people do not put enough attention into. And that's just fact. Like, that's not a deniable thing.
And one of the easiest ways to market is get on Twitter and start going into people's tweets and just replying to them. Just to help that. I mean, yeah, you're helping their engagement, but on top of that, you're helping your engagement too, because people are going to reply to you and vice versa. But get into Twitter, get the TikTok, get into the
TikTok is huge for a lot of creators. I wish I could be more consistent on TikTok, but sometimes the mental health don't really let me do a lot of basic tasks, let alone any sort of extra stuff. And
I put it this way on TikTok.
Huge.
Yeah, the best way to get yourself marketed, go to TikTok. I mean, I don't know about the best way, but this happened to me. Is like I commented on somebody's post about Gen X. We were talking about Gen X, and it's just like, and I posted on that my comment has been on the top of her comment list for 7 months.
Still probably garnering engagement.
People are commenting on my comment and leaving it at the top of her page. Yeah. So when they click on her comments to read, mine's up there. Like a great cat and dog show.
Yeah. This cat is sleepy.
But
she's actually laying right here. All right, Z, I am on my phone now, but it's to take a picture. I'm not checking anything. Yell at me all you want. She's cute as shit, so.
But no, that's one thing I found out, from Audree for the last time we talked is like, I mean, we could probably do a 24-hour stream and not even blink an eye about everything that we talk about.
One thing about us, the two of us can talk together.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying about connection. Your community, you need a connection. People that you get into interaction with on Twitter, your marketing, you need to find the connection that works for you. But yeah. But no, if you guys have any questions or whatever, you guys can start putting them in the chat and everything else. Watch her clean herself behind her.
Yeah, she's giving herself a little bath, cleaning off all of her legs. Now she is
Um,
sleeping. Just a sleepy kitty.
yeah, all you could do was hear
Well,
my
what's up
dogs
inside?
rattle. My pup, she's
Oh, I gave her attention, and guess who's coming over?
fine.
You are baby.
She goes, no, mom, that's not right.
Yeah. It's like, wait a minute. Somebody's getting pet.
But yeah, my
So,
dog finds everything that I thought I lost. She finds everything and everything in the backyard that I have no clue where she finds it or where it came from.
yeah, Kona's that type of dog for me. She's a cat, but she thinks she's a dog a lot of times. She
But
does
no,
that too.
but no, like I said, these conversations are just conversations. I don't interview people. I quit interview people the very first time I started doing this because interview is such a scary word. I scared
Well,
a
and
lot.
the format is very different
Yeah,
in the way that you approach it.
I scared a lot of people off when I said interview. So I don't even say that. I just say, can we sit down and talk? That's what I say.
Can I have you as a guest?
Yeah, but but no, mental health is a real big thing. Like I said, it includes emotional, psychological, social well-being. It affects us all in different ways. Like I said, like I said, in the beginning of this, as a disclaimer, we are not psychologists. We are not, I mean, even though if you have a degree in psychology, by law, you really can't
You can't practice over this sort of format.
No, because you're practicing over different boundaries and different state lines and different regulations.
Countries even.
Yeah. But
I feel like I'm in trouble when someone wants to talk.
talk.
Well, that also comes back to like understanding who a content creator is or a person in general is before you know that you want to invite them. You kind of have this basis of knowing how to approach them too. Because I'm sure the approach he uses with me is not the same approach he uses. He literally asked, "Hey, do you want to be a guest?" And I was like, "Yes." I don't know anything else. I don't know any of the details. You did not have to sell me on that because I already knew. Like we already had that sort of like basis of that sort of like interpersonal connection and friendship that like
Yeah.
we kind of already knew what that would entail without even discussing the details. Versus
Yeah.
some people, like the one of your most recent guests, you had never spoken to her before. So
Yeah.
like it's all about like knowing how to approach that person based on the interactions that you've had or you've witnessed.
Yeah. Because usually the way I do it is if it's somebody I've never talked to before, I usually send out like a brief questionnaire just to kind of get their idea of what they, who they are and what they, if we do connect. That way I can use that information and kind of like lead into some other conversations. But yeah, I mean, mental, especially these kind of chats, and I don't want to like steer people away from mental health chats because there are a lot of good ones out there.
But you need to be careful.
Yeah, because some of them put that in their title just to farm views. I hate to say it.
And it's unfortunate.
People use the mental health to farm views.
And they'll say, we talked about this previously the last time that we had sat down and chatted, but the toxic positivity side of it. Of, good vibes only here. And it's like, no, my chat is not good vibes only. And the reason I changed from that sort of mindset to a more realistic one is because I understood that you may not always need just some positive good vibes to fucking get you through some shit. Like sometimes we got to talk about real things. We got to talk about what life is actually like for us instead of, just doing this whole niceties of, oh, how are you? I'm going good. How are you? Like it's so much more than that. And understanding that there is a very huge push, unfortunately, for that toxic positivity of just like funneling out this bullshit of like life is good and even when it's not, like it's gonna be great. And it's like, no, like sometimes life just fucking sucks. And that's shitty, but like it is. But understanding how to cope with that, having resources to deal with that, learning how to grow and progress through whatever that situation is, regardless of, how severe someone else thinks it is. The worst thing that's ever happened to you is going to feel the same to you as the worst thing that has happened to somebody else. Because you have no other scale than what you have felt. So your body is going to feel at that capacity. And there's things that you can experience once and it's going to feel at like a level 10, damn near breaking the scale for you. But then you may experience that same thing later down the road and it may only be a 3 or a 4 for you. Depending on your life circumstances, the skill set that you have learned, in dealing with those different things, like your gauge and like tolerance to things is going to change throughout life. It's going to change through different stages of who you are and where you're at in your growth. And like, that's something that people don't realize. And instead they'll, like you said, farm the mental health stuff and
Yeah.
push out this whole, you know, oh, we love to talk about mental health, but they don't talk about the ugly side of it. Everybody loves to be like, oh, mental health awareness and positivity and shit. And it's like, okay, but if I tell you that I struggled to brush my teeth today or several days or whatever it is, because that's a common thing in, you know, mental health struggles, is to fail to be able to take care of yourself in the same capacity that you should be. Suddenly that's gross, that's disgusting, you know, that could never be me, I could never do that. And it's like, I'm so fucking glad that you have the privilege of not knowing what that's like, because that's the ugly side of mental health. It's not all, you know, dark jokes and whatever the fuck else. Like, it's also the shitty parts of it.
Yeah, and the ones that sit there and tweet out, it's like, okay, I'm taking a mental health break, or I quit because my mental health just isn't right. And then they get high engagement on their tweets, and 48 hours they're back. Those are, I mean,
yeah,
you can't,
you can tell the ones who are doing it because they genuinely need a break. And I'm not here to judge and diminish anybody's struggles, because I don't know what they've got going on. You know, maybe something exceptional happened in those 2 days. But there is an awful lot of creators that have specifically done that whole, hey, I'm stepping away from streaming, I'm never going to do it again. They wait for that massive engagement. And like, I have seen people be real scummy about that approach, because you can not always, but sometimes you can tell when somebody is just doing it to farm engagement, because they're also doing it for every other little thing. Anything that, you know, garners engagement, they're doing it. They're not talking about mental health resources. They're not getting mental health resources. They're not doing anything different. It was just, hey, I got this really high engagement, so now I'm back.
Yep.
Like, that's not sustainable. Even if your intent was to step away from your mental health, that's not sustainable. If you're stepping away from your mental health, changes need to occur. Whether that be in your personal life, your streaming life, you know, finding that balance, you know, that you had mentioned previously, of like understanding where some things need to be, because I constantly have to take things off of my plate because I am so bad about adding 1,000,001 things, and then I'm not accomplishing any of them in any capacity that is worth a damn. And it sucks, because like, it almost feels like a little bit of failure, but it is worse to continue to pretend like I can sustain any of that than just recognizing like, hey, you know what, sometimes there's like, maybe the same plate can be good for you on one day but not on another, and like, understanding that is so very important. And boundaries, like I said earlier, like, I have several people that will like help me reinforce boundaries and stuff, and then they're the one individual that I mentioned earlier that like, they'll text me and be like, hey, like, remember your boundaries, like, you said that this is something that you really wanted to like enforce, like, enforce the boundary, like, don't forget about it, like, don't diminish your boundaries to appease somebody else, because it's going to have a long-term effect on you. Even if temporarily it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, over time it's going to erode you.
Yep. Yeah. No, and like I said, it's just crazy. But, you know, it is a real thing. Mental health is a real thing. Oh, shit. I didn't mean to do that, guys. I thought I was snoozing ads. I didn't mean to run an ad.
Oops.
Oopsies. Sorry. Anyways, enjoy the ad.
Sorry.
But no, yeah, it's, I hate that too. I hate that you can accident. Oh yeah, once it goes snooze and I hit the
Yeah,
right.
the new setup is super frustrating, and I think they did it like that on purpose. I really think they did. You cannot tell me somebody looked at this and was like, this is user friendly. First of all, do you know who your users are?
Oh,
Let's be real for a minute. You got people like me that are your users. That's not user friendly.
all right. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't mean to start an ad, but now we don't have an ad for another hour and 24 minutes. But
There we go.